Before the words fade, the ground next to my feet swells and a scrawny goblin emerges with only a tattered cloth at its waist and a ragged white backpack. It looks around blankly and immediately runs. An arrow imbued with moonlight glow descends and pierces its back. The goblin transforms into white light, leaving a white treasure chest. Killed white backpack goblin times 1 points plus 1. In an instant, the entire tunnel becomes a disturbed goblin nest. Goblins with white backpacks pop out everywhere, scattering and fleeing. The 4 arrow towers unleash simultaneously, thick arrows like scythes of death. Liana's moonlight hand crossbow moves so fast it is a blur, every arrow taking a target. White chests and scattered materials clatter. Charlie drags a large sack and weaves agilely through the rain of arrows, sweeping spoils into the bag. Busy and delighted. In 3 minutes, points past 100. The type changes. Several goblins wearing simple leather armor and carrying green backpacks drill out. More agile, faster, even barely evading the tower's lock-on. Daihei chases one swinging his shovel, but the goblin uses a tricky maneuver, bypasses him, and darts for the corner. I frown. Traps. I slap my forehead. The thorn trap blueprint is still in my backpack. I open the crafting panel. Wood and iron nails are consumed, and 10 thorn traps craft. I target escape routes and place them. A green goblin smugly dodging an arrow steps right onto one. Sharp wooden spikes spring up, piercing its foot. The goblin cries in agony, speed sharply decreasing. I dash forward, the twin blades flashing, instantly beheading it. Daihei follows, using his shield to force another onto a trap, then finishing with shovel clangs like whack-a-mole. With traps for crowd control, the green threat is greatly reduced. 5 more minutes pass, 7 remaining. Deep within an earth-shattering tremor occurs. 5 tall figures violently smash through and burst out, lightweight iron armor. A head taller than ordinary, huge blue backpacks glittering. Blue backpack goblin elite times 5. They turn into 5 blue afterimages moving at high speed throughout the tunnel. Tower's attacks easily dodged. Most of Liana's arrows miss. For the first time, her voice carries urgency that she cannot keep up. Just then Daihei roars, plunges his shield into the ground, and transforms into the familiar, robust middle-aged man in black. He dumps vegetables into the pot, pulls out bottles of bubbling, oddly colored seasonings, and swings his shovel, stirring frantically near Berserk. Culinary god's secret technique. Dark cuisine. Life-taking mixed salad. A full basin of cuisine emitting an ominous green mist is splashed outwards. The poison permeates the entire tunnel. I cough and back away, asking if Master Daihei is trying to send all of us off together. Charlie rolls, covering his eyes. Liana on the second floor frowns. The mist comes and disperses fast. When visibility returns, the 5 elites are unsteady, swaying as if drunk, with green skull poison icons floating above their heads. Their speed has decreased more than 10-fold. They can no longer dodge. The 4 towers and Liana instantly cover them. The elites vanish into points of light without a scream. One drops a chest, emitting faint blue light. Charlie darts over and, as if presenting a treasure, drags it back to my feet. Daihei feels drained, leaning against the wall, panting heavily. The poison was powerful, but its after effects are also ridiculously strong. Before everyone catches breath, the entire tunnel shakes more violently than any previous time. A rock wall is forcefully shattered by brutal power. A massive burly figure bursts out, exquisite heavy armor shimmering, the huge blue backpack on its back almost half a person tall. Treasure Goblin Leader. Blue Elite, Health 3,500, Attack 0, Defense 65. The King of Treasure Goblins, possessing extreme speed and solid defense. Its crimson eyes sweep over the messy ground, letting out a deafening roar. It erupts with terrifying speed disproportionate to its size, transforming into a thick blue afterimage, charging towards the depths. The thorn traps are crushed like biscuits under its iron boots. Stop it. -4, -5. The tower's attacks land, but the thick arrows on its heavy armor only spark. Liana's arrows aimed at gaps and joints are easily dodged. Daihei's forehead sweats with anxiety, but his kidneys feel weak from dark cuisine, and he cannot exert strength. Everyone is at a loss. Just then Charlie suddenly stops. His small face is solemn. He rummages through his pouch and pulls out a peculiar small stone, crystal clear with electric currents flowing inside. He shouts, "Everyone close your eyes," throws the stone into the air right on the leader's path, then immediately covers his eyes tightly. The stone explodes silently, but emits a blinding white light 1,000 times more dazzling than the sun. The entire tunnel turns pure white. The leader wails. Body suddenly veers, immense inertia crashing it into the side rock wall. Tunnel shaking 3 times. -100. Stun. Good opportunity. I activate Oni, the twin blades enveloped in bloody aura. I transform into a whirlwind rushing the leader's lower body. -25. My target is the Achilles tendons not covered by armor. Charlie has already blown his hunting horn, an inspiring melody ringing out, my body filled with strength. Attack speed up. Daehei raises his ladle and smashes the back of the leader's other knee, -72. Liana and the 4 towers also unleash firepower. In the last 10 seconds before countdown reaches 0, the leader with legs broken and eyes blinded collapses with an unwilling roar, turning into specks of light. A huge blue chest and a glowing card lie on the ground. I killed the treasure goblin leader. Points plus 5,000. The number settles at 6,821. The event ends. The regional leaderboard. First place B29527, 6,821. Second place B2144752. Third place B2999612. The seconds points are not even a fraction of mine. The chat is insane. Is this score even possible for a carbon-based lifeform? Whereas Big Shot 144 say something. My private chat lights up. Just a question mark from 1444. I smile, do not reply, and pick up the card. Goblin Miner Summoning Card. Blue excellent. Immediately obtain a goblin miner that requires no food. Is absolutely loyal. Comes with a normal pickaxe that refreshes daily. A free laborer. With a flash, a cartoon goblin in a miner's helmet and overalls appears. Simple and honest. It salutes me, then carrying its pickaxe consciously runs to a corner and starts working with ding-ding-dang sounds, like a tool person. Tallying, 31 white chests, 8 green, 2 blue. I am rich. A grand system announcement. This event has ended. Player B29527. First regional. Reward 3 blue chests. B2999 third. 3 green. Then a prompt only I hear. Ranked 25th globally. Reward 1 purple chest. Purple chest. My heart skips. The world leaderboard shows the 3 monsters with S-rank talents. Global first at 10455 winter 8210. Reward 1 orange chest. Global second M31415. Genetic frenzy 7922 4 purple chests. Global third S580002. Sword Heart Enlightenment 7610. 3 purple chests. The gap is huge but not insurmountable. Next to the pile of whites and greens, 5 blues lie, and in the very center, a box dark purple all over inscribed with mysterious runes, pulses with light as if breathing. The clamor recedes. Daehei leans against the wall, finally recovering, grinning at the mountain of loot, asking if this is what they call getting rich overnight. 31 white, 8 green, 5 blue, 1 purple chest stacked high. Charlie runs around the pile, tail wagging like a windmill, saying so many chests his paws won't open them all. I tell him to open the white ones first. With a wave, the 31 whites open instantly. Bread, water, scattered basic materials. Expected. The 8 greens give scattered green quality equipment and materials, including crude iron greaves strength +1 and a simple water purifier blueprint fragment. The blueprint is now complete. The main event. I touch the first blue chest. Fine leather gauntlets, blue. Defense +8, agility +2. I hand them to Liana. She leaps down silently, takes them, puts them on, gives me a subtle nod. Warmth in her emerald eyes. The second blue chest. Cave expansion card 20 square meters. I use it. The floor and walls hum, extending. The mine tunnel becomes roomy. The third blue chest. Pickaxe quantity upgrade card. Daily refreshed pickaxes +1. Daily refreshed pickaxes become 3. The fourth blue chest holds 2 items. A Phylane summon card and an equipment blueprint. Charlie's eyes widen. I rub his head and use the card. With a flash, a snow-white fleeing in a small pink padded coat appears, eyes large and round, surveying surroundings. Her gaze falls on Charlie and she tilts her head with a soft, sweet meow. Charlie immediately puffs his chest and walks around her twice, acting like a senior, telling her hello, his name is Charlie. He's the boss's most formidable partner. He'll look out for her from now on. Sowa, Feline, support, loyalty 100. Skill support, not skilled in direct combat but can play various magical hunting horns. Healing flute continuously restores health to small-range allies. Dispel flute removes most negative status effects from small-range allies. The other card is a Phylane equipment blueprint boar set. I have just enough materials and craft it. A sturdy mini leather armor set from boar hide and tusks. Charlie's eyes go wide, asking if it is for him. No, this is for Sowa. Her padded coat doesn't have as high defense as his. His ears droop. I hand the armor to the shy Sowa. She clumsily puts it on, gaining heroic spirit. Charlie pokes her new clothes, looks at his own wooden armor, sighs that cat life is hopeless, drawing laughter. The fifth blue chest, more brilliant than any before. 5 pieces of equipment uniformly radiating green halo, complete from helmet to boots. Hunter set 5 of 5, green fine. Hunter helmet defense +10, agility +1. Hunter greaves +10 +1. Hunter greaves +10 +1. Hunter greaves +10 +1. Hunter Greaves plus 10+1. Hunter Boots plus 5+1. 3-piece set Strength plus 5 Agility plus 2. 5-piece set Skill Weakness Perception. When activated, enemy weak points are clearly marked in my vision. Melee damage to weak points plus 30%. Duration 1 minute. Cooldown 30 minutes. The Assassin's First Choice. Tailor-made for me. I put on the dark green leather armor. The fitted armor clings, outlining smooth muscle lines, lightness and strength spreading. My panel: Strength 19, Agility 19, Constitution 14, Spirit 12, Defense 50, Skyrocket. Daehee rubs the back of his head and praises that boss really looks like a master now. All blues opened, far richer than imagined. But this is not the end. In the center, the dark purple chest pulses bright and dim like a living heart. Obtainable only by the top 100 globally. The entire tunnel falls silent. Everyone's gaze fixes on it. I slowly walk over. I reach out, hovering over the chest, radiating endless temptation and mystery. What miracle is hidden inside? My finger touches the purple-breathing chest. There are no earth-shattering sound and light effects, only a warm jade-like sensation. I gently lift and the lid opens silently. A dense, almost materialized purple light mist erupts, enveloping the entire tunnel. Not dazzling, instead carrying a strange, soothing power. Even Daehee's weakness from dark cuisine is greatly alleviated. Sowa squints comfortably and Charlie lies belly up. The mist condenses into 2 items in midair. One is a card slightly larger than all previous cards, entirely carved from purple crystal, filled with spatial power. The other is an antique necklace, chain woven from unknown silver metal. The pendant, a teardrop-shaped transparent crystal, in which billions of stars seem to slowly revolve. The card, Cave Expansion Card 150 square meters, Purple Epic, immediately expands my private mine tunnel by 150 square meters. Space is the most fundamental unit for measuring power. Daehee's eyes nearly pop out, stammering that won't our tunnel turn into a plaza. I use it immediately. The tremor lasts longer than any previous. The 4 walls and floor extend at frantic pace. The stone house and arrow towers occupy less than a third of a corner now. Total mine tunnel area 337 square meters. An indescribable sense of security and pride surges through my heart. Charlie excitedly runs laps, exclaiming, "We can race inside." The necklace gently falls into my palm. Sigh of the Goddess of Fortune accessory necklace. Purple Epic. Effect Luck +1. A tear from a deity condensed in the cracks of space and time. Wearing it, the scales of fate will tip towards you, even if only by a negligible amount. Luck +1. Permanent. My heart skips. I recall Daehee's lucky crab leg meat sandwich. Merely 4 hours of Luck +1 had let me forge 2 green longswords. Now an epic accessory worn forever. My probability of getting top-tier items when opening chests rises. The smelting furnace's 4% chance of quality leap might be 10% or higher for me. My probability of digging up rare minerals will far exceed ordinary players. This is enhancement on the level of rules, a metaphysical power influencing my fate at every moment, countless times more valuable than the 150 square meter expansion card I just used. I mutter that I am rich, this time truly rich. I put it around my neck. The moment it touches my skin, it transforms into a stream of light and merges into my body, leaving only a faint teardrop mark before reappearing. My panel reveals what was previously a question mark. Luck 1. I cannot suppress my smile. What sigh of the Goddess of Fortune. This is clearly her declaration of love for a workaholic. I rein in the wildly upturned mouth corners. The ecstasy is like boiling magma, expression remaining calm. The massive space, vast enough to hear echoes, is no longer the cramped tunnel from the beginning, but the prototype of an underground base. Daehee looks at the empty space, asking where to put our things. We'll plan. I walk to the center. Cabin here, the core, safe and convenient. Left. Forging area, smelting furnace and material boxes there, separated from living to avoid smoke. Right. Reserved mining area, the largest open space in front of the house. Daily activity and training. Behind. Planting boxes for a dedicated growing area. The 4 arrow towers distribute evenly in 4 directions for crossfire with no blind spots. Daehee slaps his thigh. That good, let's do it. Full of admiration. He had only seen the size, but his boss saw the future. I'll move the towers in-house. As master of the mine tunnel, I have absolute control over all my facilities. With a thought, the 4 heavy towers slowly lift as if weightless blocks, silently glide to 4 corners, settle without a speck of dust. Daehee's eyelids twitch. That boss's ability is becoming more godly. Time to work, Charlie shouts and hoists an empty wooden crate larger than his body, huffing toward the forging area. Sowa imitates her older brother, using her small head to push a planting box, following with small steps. Daehee rolls up his sleeves and easily picks up the heavy smelting furnace. The tunnel plunges into a buzzing atmosphere of construction. The goblin miner, selectively forgotten, continues swinging in the corner of the mining area I planned. Just then, a sharp, hurried cry comes from the corner. The goblin miner gesticulates wildly, pointing at a section of rock wall just excavated, bouncing excitedly. At its feet, a chest glowing with soft green light is quietly embedded. Daihei peers over, surprised that this goblin has such good luck, that as time passes, the probability of digging up a chest had become very low. A thought flashes. A coincidence. Or, I subconsciously touch the sigh of the Goddess of Fortune medallion. Could the +1 luck not just affect me, but also radiate to the territory under my rule? Although only a green chest, this discovery excites me more than opening a blue would. I open it. 5 iron ingot, 1 beef burger. Ordinary green chest reward. The goblin watches eagerly. Although it lacks high intelligence, it instinctively knows it dug this up. With Daihei, the god of cooking, on my side, the burger holds no appeal. I tell the goblin miner this is its reward and hand it over. The goblin pauses, unable to believe it, carefully takes it, sniffs, takes a massive bite, happily squinting and squatting in the corner, devouring it ravenously, face radiating happiness. My mood improves. Then time to solve one of the most critical problems: water. Although I still have a large supply of purified water, it is consumable. To achieve true self-sufficiency, a continuous production device is essential. 3 tattered blueprint fragments fly out of my backpack, meet in the air, erupt in dazzling light, merge and spin into a complete blueprint. I have collected all fragments and synthesized basic water purifier. Green excellent. Requires 5 stone, 5 copper ingot, 5 iron ingot, 5 cotton, 5 charcoal. Can convert 1 unit of water or 2 units of murky water into 1 bottle of purified water per hour. Charcoal is a byproduct of the smelting furnace, and I have a dozen pieces. Construct. Next to the well, a device resembling a large water dispenser materializes. Top a metal storage barrel, bottom a delicate spout. 24 bottles a day, decent. The well produces 50 units of clean water daily. Planting boxes consume 5. 3 of us showering daily uses 30. Only 15 surplus. The purifier requires 24 to run all day. Not enough. We'll have to shower once every 2 days. Daihei's voice rises that the sweat on him could pickle vegetables. That 2 days without washing he'll stink. I look at him with disgust, but open the trade channel. I search water and blueprint. Results are all high-priced sales of purified water. 1 bottle nearly equivalent to 2 pieces of rye bread. After flipping pages, a blueprint tagged clearance sale catches my attention. Condensate collector blueprint, trade requirement, any weapon of any quality. The seller's note is full of resentment that he'll trade for a weapon, even white, that this junk needs electricity and who has electricity in the tunnel, that it's fraudulent trash. Electricity. The familiar red cartoon phone phantom pops out and circles me. Spinner says it has detected I am contemplating advanced energy issues, that although the integrity of the old fusion core dropped by that mole is worrying, the remaining 2% clean energy is enough to power that low-power condensation device for an entire month. And if I recycle it after use, the value remains unchanged, guaranteed. Success. I pull out a spear from a chest and throw it into the trade slot. The trade completes. That player probably thinks he got a huge bargain. Learned condensate collector blueprint, materials iron ingot 5, copper ingot 5. Practically free. I construct it. A futuristic silver-white metal box appears next to the purifier, its surface carrying an icy chill. I open the energy bay and place the slightly vibrating fusion core inside. With a slight startup sound, the condenser operates steadily. Wisps of cold air seep from the seams. Fine water droplets condense on the internal walls and collect in the bottom tank. Condensate collector started. Daily output 20 units of water. A note that the water vapor in the tunnel may contain bacteria and impurities and needs to be filtered before consumption. Done. 50 from the well plus 20 here totals 70 daily. After deducting daily life and planting, surplus 35 every day, enough to keep the purifier running non-stop for 24 hours. With leftovers, Daihei stares dumbfounded, finally squeezing out a single sentence. Boss, where did you get the electricity? I just smile and offer no explanation. On the 6th day, the magic crystal slowly brightened back to life, and I stood on the balcony of my second-floor wooden house, looking out over the underground kingdom I had built. 337 square meters now, too much to keep calling a mine tunnel, more the embryo of a fortress, with the smelting furnace, the living quarters, the planting area, and the training ground laid out clean and deliberate, and 4 cold arrow towers standing at the corners like loyal guards. Everything looked peaceful, full of life and hope. And then the next second, a region announcement shattered the quiet. The system told the whole area that player B2144 had gathered 5 followers, used a guild establishment token, and founded the first guild in the region, the Bloodblade Alliance. As a reward, he had pulled a fine long saber with a bloodlust enchantment and a green guild warehouse blueprint, and the guild system was now live, starting at level 1 with a 30-member cap. Members could share a 200 square meter guild territory that dug like a personal mine tunnel, and when any member was invaded, 5 online members could be summoned at once for joint defense. The chat channel exploded, the whole place losing its mind. Somebody recognizing B2144 as the big shot who ranked second in the Goblin event. Somebody else muttering that the name Bloodblade Alliance did not sound like good people, and a loud crowd seizing on the joint defense line as proof nobody would have to fear minecart raids ever again. Naturally, the first regional power was a pack of murderers naming themselves after a bloody knife. Then the founder posted himself, announcing recruitment far and wide, B rank holders and above, with combat builds preferred, and sneering that anyone below C rank shouldn't waste everyone's time. The arrogance landed like gasoline on a fire. One player demanding to know what was wrong with C rank, another bragging he had C rank plant affinity, and daring them to come so he could choke them with potatoes. A grim detail followed. A player wearing the gray marker that showed he just quit a guild, screaming for everyone to run from the Bloodblade Alliance, saying he'd gone in out of curiosity, found the murderer B21888 inside debating whether to keep raiding, and eaten the loss of 5 units of food to escape with his life. Others compared them to a criminal organization. Then someone posted an illustration of a minecart marked to carry 5 at once and asked who could withstand a raid by 5 instead of 1. A wave of wailing rolled through, people begging not to be killed, others noting the minecart linked at random so no one knew who was next. A few of the truly terrified claiming B-rank talent on the spot just to be allowed in. I read all of it and felt the trouble coming. The piece I'd built wasn't going to hold. I'd been linked by a minecart once and gotten lucky, the man on the other end being the simple Lee Daewoo who lost the fight and became my captive instead of my killer. But next time it could be 5 strong men pouring into my mine tunnel against my 3 people and 2 cats. A private message broke into the thought. B2999 asking with a faint tremor whether I'd seen the announcement. I told him I had, that it was trouble plain and simple, and that we'd handle whatever came. He went quiet a moment, like a man deciding something, then sent me an item illustration, a guild establishment token, described as a king's proof and a horn in troubled times that gathered 5 or more players to light a bonfire. Good heavens, this man's luck was something else. I asked why he hadn't used it. He told me not to joke, that he was a professional at treasure hunting and scouting, but had neither the nerve nor the ability to lead people against lunatics like the Bloodblade Alliance, and that anyone following him wouldn't even know how they died. The token was a hot potato in his hands, he said, but a different thing in mine, and he asked me to take it, firm in a way I hadn't heard from him before, telling me troubled times were coming, and that following me felt safer than following anyone else. I fell silent. I hated trouble and had no taste for being tied down, but he wasn't wrong. One man's strength had a ceiling, and the Bloodblade Alliance had just rewritten the rules of the whole game. Either I joined them or I built something that could stand against them, and I had never been the type to be somebody's dog, so my gaze sharpened and I accepted. We needed 3 more. He offered a man he traded with and judged decent, B25688, well-stocked enough that his strength was probably solid, and the ID rang a bell, the player who'd once used my smelting furnace to forge a bloodthirsty dagger and sent me a dozen pieces of electronic scrap afterward. Someone who knew how to repay a kindness. I agreed to bring him in. Then I messaged B23838, the little fanboy who always leapt to defend me in the chat, who came apart with relief when I asked, swearing he was in and confessing he'd been panicking the Bloodblade Alliance would come for him any second. The fanboy was easier to recruit than a stray dog at dinner time. Last I messaged Lee Daewoo, who thanked me until I could practically hear him bowing, swearing he'd work like an ox and a horse to repay me, and then I opened a group chat. The introductions came one by one. B29999 went first, calling himself Cheon Dodo, his talent the A-rank lucky star that raised his luck and his chance of digging up good items. Lee Daewoo gave his B-rank sturdiness, more strength at the cost of double food. The man at B25688 named himself Joe Yu, B-rank backstab, bonus damage from behind and a sliver of a chance for an instant kill. The last, at B23838, said the name Lee Wee Wee and the B-rank minor talent, which cut pickaxe wear and could double whatever was dug up. I stopped on that name and asked if Lee Wee Wee was a girl, because I'd watched this account tear into people in the chat, with words sharp enough to draw blood, and had her pegged as some rough guy who lived to argue online. She answered, aggrieved, that yes she was and that she'd never once said otherwise. Cheon Dodo cut in to keep us on track, and told me I was last, so I gave them Jinmo, C-rank recycle, the talent that let me recycle the junk nobody else wanted in exchange for basic materials. The group chat went dead silent. After a few seconds, Lee Wei typed carefully, asking if it was really C rank, that she'd assumed I was at least A rank or even the legendary S rank. Zhou Yu said nothing, but the trailing dots said plenty. I answered flatly that it was good luck. Qian Dodo declared his A rank lucky star a fake talent next to mine, calling my C rank recycle the real chosen one, because no one could beat that kind of luck, and the group fell silent again, unable to disbelieve facts sitting right in front of them, even though a C rank writing pure luck to regional number 1 would be the funniest joke of the year. Let them keep thinking it was luck, easier than the truth. Qian Dodo shook it off and told me that since I was leader, I should pick the guild name, handing the decision over without a fight, clear that he was a scout and never a strategist. The others agreed at once. A name was a real problem, the face of the organization and a pointer at its future, and Bloodblade Alliance sounded exactly like what it was. A machine built around killing and raiding. Before I could decide, the group started brainstorming on its own. Li Daewu pitching the League of Strongmen because we were all great fighters, which Li Weiwei shot down as impossible with a girl in the guild, and far too blunt anyway. She argued for something that resounded, floating the Sanctuary or the Star Knight Regiment, and Qian Dodo gently pointed out those were a little much for people still surviving in a mine tunnel. Then Zhou Yu, quiet until now, dropped 2 words. Shadow. Qian Dodo loved it, calling it low-key but imposing, but I told them none of it would do. When Qian Dodo asked why, I told him Shadow was too ostentatious, that the Bloodblade Alliance was the absolute overlord of this area and founding a guild here was like planting a flag in a tiger's territory, and that a flag showing a fiercer tiger guaranteed a fight to the death. He admitted they'd been presumptuous and asked what we should be called instead, and I answered with a question, asking what our goal was. Li Weiwei guessed survival. Li Daewu said eating our fill and not getting bullied. Zhou Yu said becoming stronger, and Qian Dodo said building a force that could stand against the Bloodblade Alliance. I told them Qian Dodo had named the ultimate goal, and the others the present ones, that the sum was simple, that we weren't founding a guild to plunder or to become overlords, but for one core thing, protection, to protect our own safety, the resources we'd bled to mine, and our right to sleep a peaceful night, a reliable haven for people who'd gathered together for warmth, because that basic security was what any of them had come looking for. So the guild would be called Guardian. The name wasn't imposing or loud, almost ordinary, yet in those 5 sets of eyes it carried 1,000 times the weight of Sanctuary or Judgment or Shadow. Li Weiwei loved it. Li Daewu said it sounded dependable. Zhou Yu found it acceptable, and Qian Dodo declared it settled and traded the token over, which I used at once. A system announcement landed in all 5 of our minds, congratulating us on joining the guild founded by player B29527, Guardian, and because we were the second team in the region to found one, handing each of us another Green Guild warehouse blueprint. Guardian was established, its residents generated, every member's mine tunnel now linked for free teleportation out of combat. My attention snapped past the guild details to a new tab on my panel, simply labeled Guild, and Qian Dodo crowed in the chat that it was done, that we were officially in the same guild. I stood and told them to come see our new home, bringing only Liana, and with one thought I chose to teleport. The world blurred, and the next second I stood in a brand new space about the size of my own mine tunnel. Though the feel was different, less a mine than a karst cave. The dome too high to see, stalactites hanging studded with glowing crystals, the air damp and earthy, the floor uneven rock that crunched into gravel underfoot. Empty and primitive, a blank canvas waiting to be painted, the residence of Guardian. Liana swept the place with her eyes the moment we arrived, slender fingers already resting on the moonlight hand crossbow at her hip, her elven instincts keeping her sharp in any new ground. A flash of light bloomed beside me, and a tall, thin, bespectacled young man stepped out of thin air in well-tailored fine leather armor, a compass and small pouches at his waist. Every inch the professional explorer, and trailing him came a near 2-meter brute, with a great axe, his muscle coiled and bulging like an iron tower. The explorer took one look at my gear, greeted me warmly, and introduced himself as Qian Dodo, and the brute as his attendant Diok Ju, though his eyes kept drifting to Liana behind me. I introduced her briefly, and his eyes nearly fell out of his head as he pointed and asked, his voice cracking up an octave, whether that was really an elf summoned from the common attendant card he'd traded me earlier. He slapped his own thigh, his face twisting with regret, wailing that a ranged damage dealer, an elven archer no less, had slipped through his fingers and that he'd lost out terribly. The man traded me an elf and is still grieving it. I'd grieve too, in his shoes. More flashes arrived, and Li Daewu, Zhou Yu, and Li Weiwei teleported him one after another. Li Daewu grinned like a fool and called for the boss, his bald head blazing under the crystal light, wearing only worn leather armor though his muscle was the best defense he had, and he settled in behind me like the most loyal bodyguard. Zhou Yu wore dark clothes built for movement with a bright dagger at his waist, dipped his head, nodded around the room, and moved his lips without a sound, shy and uncomfortable. The last to speak was Li Wei, and a clear, pleasant voice rang out greeting everyone, and the whole room turned and froze. She looked maybe 18 or 19, not tall, with a cute baby face and a playful ponytail, a little mining lamp on her head like an ornament, big eyes blinking around the crowd. This was the keyboard warrior who could trade insults for 300 rounds without losing ground. Cheon Dodo stammered, asking if she was really 3838, and she nodded as if it were obvious, planted her hands on her hips like a little adult, and announced that online you had to keep a fierce persona or people thought you were easy to bully. Cheon Dodo choked and nearly did himself an injury, because that wasn't fierce, that was fraud. The room stayed speechless a beat, then broke into laughter, the awkwardness warming away around her, and her curiosity slid to Liana and Deokju, while Cheon Dodo explained the attended summoning cards to her and Zhou Yu, drawing gasps of envy. I clapped my hands to pull their eyes back, told them the place was too empty, and said we'd build the guild warehouse first. After I shared the blueprint, the three big spenders, me, Cheon Dodo, and Li Wei, pulled materials fast, and a sturdy stone warehouse rose in the center, while Li Daewoo and Zhou Yu threw together a rough resting area from spare tables and chairs. Then I conjured a large basin out of my backpack and set it on the table, and a rich aroma burst out, savory soy sauce and spices, and the deep smell of rendered fat charging into everyone's noses, Li Daewoo's stomach growling without permission, and Cheon Dodo's glasses nearly sliding off his face. Following the smell, they saw an enormous earthenware pot heaped with trembling, glistening red chunks of meat, coated in thick, glossy sauce, braised pork belly, and after 5 or 6 days of dry bread in a dark mine tunnel, real cooked food like this was practically a miracle. Before they recovered, I produced a second basin, crisp emerald lettuce that split through their gray vision like a flash of lightning. Cheon Dodo lost his voice, demanding to know where I'd gotten fresh vegetables in a mine tunnel, and I told him lightly that I'd grown them in a planting box, and that anyone who wanted some could trade for it, discount included. Li Wei's hand shot up first, and the others nodded over and over, eyes burning, because everyone there knew what fresh vegetables meant in a place like this. And I told them to stop staring and treat it as the guild's first communal meal. Nothing brings strangers together like real food in a place that has none. At my word, nobody held back. Li Daewoo grabbed a piece of meat barehanded, gasping at the heat but refusing to spit it out, the fat melting instantly and the rich, sweet, savory sauce exploding on his tongue until his eyes went moist. Cheon Dodo was more refined, dipping black bread in the sauce, adding meat and lettuce, his eyes squinting in pure happiness as the rough bread and the tender meat and the crisp leaf blended. Even Zhou Yu ate quietly, the faintest curve forming at the corner of his mouth. Then Li Wei made a small surprise sound and called out that we had a status effect, and everyone opened their panels to find a fresh buff, the blessing of the food god at the weak tier. Strength up by 2 for 4 hours. Cheon Dodo was astonished a meal could raise strength, declaring this an immortal pill made by a deity, and I just smiled and said I'd gotten a special recipe from a treasure chest the day before, not exposing Chef Daehei, who was one of my biggest trump cards. Li Daewoo paused his chewing at that but said nothing and reached for more meat, because he knew I had a cook attendant and knew better than to ask about something the boss hadn't volunteered. Simple, but not stupid. The meal pulled us tighter, and once they'd eaten their fill, we got down to business. Cheon Dodo asking whether we should recruit too since the Bloodblade Alliance won on numbers. Li Wei objected first, that too many people were hard to manage, and that recruiting could mean recruiting a spy, and that the 5 of us were enough because we were all trustworthy and decently strong. And Zhou Yu nodded along. I summed it up, that Li Wei was right, that we'd chase quality over quantity, that Guardian would add no new members for now while we focused on raising each person's strength fast. And everyone agreed the call was sound. Then Li Wei remembered something, and pulled a silver-white mechanical prosthetic left arm from her backpack, one at an earlier event but useless to her, and pressed it on me, sure I'd find a use. I noticed she was still wearing worn-out sneakers, took the arm and pulled out a pair of leather boots in return, the sandworm leather boots I'd already phased out, and her eyes lit up as she thanked me and put them on at once. The gathering broke up, everyone scattered, and only Liana, Li Daewoo, and I stayed in the residence. Li Daewoo rubbed his bald head, smiled in that obsequious way of his, and traded over all the electronics and luxury watches and bags he'd collected the day before. And I gave him enough food and water for several days, then weighed his sturdy build and handed over the crab armor set I'd replaced. I told him not to fixate on collecting things for me, that his own strength had to keep up, that we were a team and he couldn't fall behind, and he held that faintly blue glowing armor so excited his eyes went red, swearing he'd mine hard and level up and never let me down. After he left, I looked at the empty residence and let out a slow breath. Guardian. Starting today, I wasn't fighting alone. I returned to my mine tunnel with Liana without lingering at the outpost. Chef Daehei was humming a tune and wiping his beloved ladle with a rag, and he only glanced up and smiled when I came in. I walked to the workbench and dumped everything Lee Daewoo and Lee Wee had handed over, more than a dozen pieces of mud-stained electronic junk and luxury goods, plus that metallic mechanical prosthetic, and told the spinner it was time to work. This time I recycled only half, leaving 5 chances in reserve in case something better came in today. And those 5 gave me 5 green treasure chests, 1 blue, and a pile of materials. I opened the green chests first, and the tally came up rich. 10 iron ingots, 2 hamburgers, 1 family bucket, 2 iced colas, 3 small healing potions, plus a blueprint and 2 pieces of green equipment. The blueprint was for wooden soundproof earplugs, costing 1 wood, the description asking whether I was bothered by a neighbor's snoring or a monster's roar, and promising instant quiet, which made my mouth twitch, useful and useless at once. The 2 green pieces were leather gloves and a short dagger, and I tossed the tough leather gloves to Chef Daehae, who snatched them clean out of the air, checked the attributes, nodded, and thanked me, while the dagger I couldn't be bothered to use went onto the trading platform for a 1 square meter cave expansion card. Then my eyes landed on the blue treasure chest, the grand finale. I took a deep breath, set my hand on the lid, muttered a prayer for a divine artifact, and flipped it open, and a blue light burst out brighter than any before, fading to reveal a small orange-red, black-striped ball lying quietly inside. I took it out, and its weight and feel were so familiar I'd have known it even as ash. A trainee's basketball, blue excellent quality, its description some nonsense about singing, dancing, rapping, and basketball, from an owner who'd clearly worked very hard. Its effect dropped me into a 2.5-hour trainee state once a day, slightly raising my agility, greatly raising my charm, and giving a high chance of forcing every creature into a worship state where it abandoned attacking for 10 seconds through a cool basketball performance. I stood there holding it with a blank face. This was what the blue chest I'd dreamed about for days had given me. Greatly increased charm in a pitch-dark mind tunnel for the ghosts to admire, and a worship state that lasted 10 whole seconds. I felt my blood pressure climbing as I turned the ball over and over, then forced down the urge to recycle it on the spot and buried it in the deepest part of my backpack. Out of sight, out of mind. I'd been promised a divine artifact, and the system handed me a halftime show. The mine tunnel around me was bustling, the goblin miner swinging its pickaxe faithfully, Chef Daehae humming and digging, and the 2 Feline, Charlie and Sowa, sorting and stacking scattered materials with their small paws and quick, orderly motions. And the sight thinned most of my gloom. Because the team was growing, and I wasn't about to let a broken basketball ruin my mood. I walked to the smelting furnace to forge a batch of weapons for the trading platform. And just as I dropped an iron ingot in, the goblin mining at the far end let out a sharp shriek, stumbled back, and hid behind me, trembling and pointing at the spot it had been digging. A dark cave entrance had appeared out of nowhere on the rock wall, a slowly turning dim vortex inside breathing out a chilling aura. An instant. My eyes went serious. The last one, Wailing Cavern, I'd survived and come home rich, but mostly on luck, and now here was another, blessing or curse unknown. I hesitated and without thinking glanced at Chef Daehae, who swung his big ladle onto his shoulder, and said he thought we could give it a try, patting his sturdy leather armor and pointing at Liana, who'd come down from the second-floor arrow tower at the noise, reminding me that both he and Miss Liana had leveled and upgraded their gear, that I'd improved enormously myself, and that with Charlie and Sowa helping, even 2 or 3 direwolf leaders could be stewed. That settled it, because times had changed and the team I had now was nothing like before. Liana leaped down, walked to my side without a sound, checked the bolts in her quiver, and nodded at me hard. Action her only answer. I told them fortune favored the bold and that we'd depart in 5 minutes. The instance capped entry at 5 units, so it would be me, Chef Daehae, Liana, and the 2 Feline, a full party, with the goblin miner left to guard home. We entered the vortex one by one, and after a brief swimming dizziness, the scene opened up into an impossibly vast underground grotto. No sun or moon or stars, the dome blanketed in great patches of softly glowing moss that washed the whole space in a dreamlike blue-green light. The floor soft humus, the air full of damp soil and a strange aroma of fungi. The most striking thing was the giant mushrooms in every shape and color, some like canopies, some like towers, some like coral, the tallest over 10 meters and the shortest at waist height, all forming a bizarre, vivid underground forest. The system told me we'd entered the multiplayer instance, Glow Forest, and the place was silent but for the occasional drip from a stalactite. I murmured that it looked like a resource-gathering instance, and let my guard down a notch. Before I finished, Charlie and Sowa let out joyful meows and bounced off to dig fast beneath a half-human tall blue mushroom, each soon trotting back with a few mushrooms the size of a baby's fist, setting them at my feet and telling me proudly that these blue mushrooms restored vitality. The system confirmed it. Blue mushroom, green excellent quality, a common magic mushroom and basic healing potion material that restored 10 health a bite. Chef Dehe made his own find, standing from a cluster of bright red fungi with several in hand, a different color, and told me to look. Nitrate mushrooms holding a weak fire element and useful for explosives and fire potions, giving a short strength boost of 3 if eaten raw at the cost of a burning feeling. 1 restored health, 1 raised strength, and this glow forest really was a resource gathering spot with good quality coming out of it. I gave the most concise order I could. Gather. The team sprang into action, Chef Dehe harvesting from experience while reading the value of everything around us. Liana patrolling the team's edge like an elegant leopard with her moonlight hand crossbow, ready to put a lethal bolt anywhere, and the 2 feline becoming the main gatherers, threading freely through the huge clusters and trotting back with piles of material, mowing for praise. The system log filled out steadily. Antidote herbs, blue mushrooms, nitrate mushrooms, sleep spores, elastic mycelium, the running haul lifting my mood with every line. This trip had been the right call. Then Liana, on watch, raised a hand to signal a halt and the team froze, every eye following her gaze to an unremarkable cluster of mushrooms in the distance, dozens identical to the blue mushrooms we'd already gathered, standing silent and giving off the same faint glow. I asked under my breath what it was, but she only raised her hand crossbow and took aim at the plumpest of them. A faint sound cut the air and the moonlight-charged bolt struck the base of that mushroom, and instead of snapping like a plant it shook violently, then pulled itself out of the soil, sprouting 2 short legs of mycelium, and below its round cap a slit opened to reveal dense fang-like spikes. Not a mouth but a deadly predatory organ. The system named it Glow Fungus Man, green common, a fungus aberration with 300 health, 50 attack, 25 defense, skilled in mimicry and spore spray, a cunning mimic that disguised itself as a harmless mushroom and waited for prey to draw close before springing. I swore aloud. Who would have guessed picking a mushroom could get you killed? The things were camouflaged too perfectly, and if not for Liana's elven intuition, someone in our group would already have been hit. The exposed glow fungus man let out a piercing shriek and sprayed a cloud of yellow-green spores, and I called for everyone to fall back and for Sowa to dispel. Chef Dehe and the 2 feline retreated instantly, and Sowa, keeping her composure, yanked the hunting horn from the pouch on her back, puffed her cheeks, and played a clear resonant melody that sent an invisible sound wave into the spore cloud and broke it apart, harming no one. I told her it was nicely done. That shriek had been a signal, though, and the cluster all around came alive at once, more than a dozen glow fungus men dragging their mycelium legs out of the ground and staggering toward us to close the circle. Chef Dehe wasn't alarmed. He was delighted, weighing the ladle until it gave a crisp metallic clang and announcing a mushroom banquet today. I ordered Charlie's flash bomb, and he yelled that he'd handle it, pulled a walnut-sized sphere off his back, and hurled it into the densest cluster, where it burst into a blinding white light that washed the area stark and threw the fungus men into chaos. Their photosensitive spores blowed open, spinning in place and shrieking at nothing. I called the timing, ordering Chef Dehe to charge and Liana to prioritize the ones about to spray. Chef Dehe roared and charged first like a tiger coming down a mountain, the ladle swinging in powerful sweeps, and brought it down on one cap, which dented on the spot for 155 and stunned the thing, green fluid splattering as it wobbled. And before it could counter, he swung backhand and sent it flying in an arc into a distant rock wall where it dissolved into sludge, a critical weak point strike for 250 floating after it. That stun riding the ladle was practically a divine skill in close fighting. A ladle that stuns on contact. The man could clear a kitchen and a battlefield with the same swing. On the other side, Liana flitted through the clusters, her crossbow giving a soft sound at each pause. 3 bolts striking 3 fungus men just as they prepared to spray. 95, 101, 98. The force knocking them off balance and cutting their attack short. That was professionalism. I wasn't idle either, moving like lightning to circle one fungus man's side, my dual blades striking together in 2 streaks of cold light, and bright green fluid spurted as its upper half sheared clean from its base and fell to twitch and go still. The fight was a one-sided slaughter from there, and under my command and the team's execution, the dozen-odd glow fungus men were wiped out in under 2 minutes, the system tallying 15 killed and handing me 20 fungus man spores and 15 elastic mycelium, then telling me both Charlie and Sowa had reached level 2, the 2 filing holding hands and spinning in a happy circle. After the fight, Chef Dehe carried his green-smeared ladle to the still visible corpses, nudged one with his foot, and asked me with a perfectly serious face whether it could be eaten. I had nothing to say to that. I told him he'd best not get any ideas, squatted and cut one corpse open with my wolf-fang twin blades, and a pungent fishy smell hit me at once. So I told him these things were stitched together creatures of animal and plant, and that God only knew if they were poisonous, and only then did he reluctantly let go of his dream of stir-fried mushrooms. We cleared the field and pushed deeper, everyone more careful now, the two felonies scouting ahead since their noses could tell a real mushroom from a disguised monster in advance. After an area of giant blue mushrooms, the scene changed again. A subterranean river glowing faint blue stretching ahead, the water clear to the bottom with small glowing fish in it. The banks crowded with strange plants, beautiful as a fairy tale and more dangerous for it. Liana's voice came from atop a giant mushroom, telling us there was a big one, and we followed her gaze to an open stretch across the river where a gigantic crab the size of a small car was sprawled, its shell a rocky grayish-brown, its two massive claws gleaming with metallic cold light, and most peculiar of all, a half-meter poisonous mushroom growing from its broad back, the cap dotted with many colors and leaking wisps of mist. The system gave it as the vicious poison mushroom crab, Blue Elite, a beast fungus with 1500 health, 80 attack, 70 defense, skilled in venomous eruption, hardened shell, and reckless charge. The guardian of Glow Forest, the mushroom on its back living in symbiosis as both camouflage and deadliest weapon. 1500 health, 70 defense. My eyelids twitched because this was no longer in the league of the small monsters we'd met. This was a mini-boss. Chef Dehe, ladle over his shoulder, looked grave and said the shell was too thick for Liana's bolts to punch through, and I'd already activated weakness perception and could see the red glowing spots clearly, telling him the weak points sat in the abdomen and the joints but that a frontal assault couldn't reach them. Liana added that the worst of it was the mushroom on its back, that once the fight started it would spray poison mist wide, and Charlie's dispel flute might not cover us fully, and when I asked Charlie if he had any flashbangs left he said none, that he could use only one a day and had already burned it. The situation locked up. Charging in blind meant heavy casualties, and giving up with that nearly solid phantom of a treasure chest hovering over the elite's head, I couldn't stomach. Then it came to me, a daring, half-absurd idea, and I silently drew the orange-red basketball I despised out of my backpack. Chef Dehe looked at it, utterly lost, asking what I was doing, and Liana and the two Feline threw me the same confused glance, but I ignored them, took a deep breath, and ordered the system to use the trainee's basketball. The thing I buried out of spite, and here I was betting a boss fight on it. A strange sensation surged through me the next second, my whole bearing shifting, my body going lighter, every pore seeming to give off a light called confidence. The system telling me I'd entered the trainee state for 2.5 hours, agility slightly up, charm greatly up. I laid out the plan fast, telling Chef Dehe and Liana to wait for my word, and then pour their strongest attacks into its abdomen, and telling Charlie to ready his items. And confused as they were, they trusted me and nodded hard, so I told them to watch. I hugged the basketball, took a breath, and burst out from behind the mushroom, and the vicious poison mushroom crab on the far bank startled at once, 8 legs heaving its huge body up, claws clicking, small eyes locking onto the human who'd appeared from nowhere. But I didn't attack. I stood by the river and started dribbling, the bounce off the ground ringing impossibly clear in the silent cave, and I moved like a butterfly through flowers, dribbling between my legs, behind my back, turning, jumping. A string of fluid moves full of a rhythm I couldn't have explained. Chef Dehe and Liana watched from behind, dumbfounded, surely wondering if the boss had gone crazy, and even the vicious poison mushroom crab looked bewildered, forgetting to swing its claws, just staring at the human showing off, its small eyes full of confusion. Then I threw the ball high, leaped after it, spun once in the air, caught it, and struck a sharp finishing pose at the crab. Dazzling light burst off me, and the system announced my performance had triggered the adoration effect, that the vicious poison mushroom crab had fallen into adoration and would abandon attacking for 10 seconds. The fierce thing went limp all at once, its massive body sagging, its 2 claws drooping powerless to the ground, and it even swayed the great mushroom on its back as if cheering. I roared after landing to go now. Chef Dehe reacted first, his mind still blank but his body already charging out, calling Soul Eater frenzy, his muscles bulging and his eyes turning crimson, then leaping high with the ladle gripped in both hands, and all his strength funneled into one blow, naming it stir-fried pork kidney as he smashed it like a cannonball into the crab's soft abdomen. Liana's attack chased it instantly, a crossbow bolt flashing red as if a penetration effect had triggered, striking the exact spot Chef Dehe had hit. 2 completely different sounds, almost in the same instant. A piercing shriek tore out of the vicious poison mushroom crab's mouth, sharp enough to rupture eardrums. Its tough ventral carapace facing Chef Dehe's full-power berserk blow, and Liana's armor-piercing bolt at the same instant. Couldn't hold, and a bowl-sized hole opened in its abdomen, dark green blood gushing out like a fountain. The pain jolted it awake from its worship state, but it was already too late, because 10 seconds of crowd control was enough to decide a battle. I gave it no chance to breathe. The moment their attacks landed, I activated the skill tied to my wolf fang twin blades, Oni, instantly boosting my attack power and speed, and my figure blurred into an afterimage as I followed close behind. The twin blades, like two fatal fangs plunging into the fresh wound. Weak point hits stacking. 86, 96, 92. A continuous string of slicing as I drove half my body into the crab and tore at its insides. It struggled wildly, pincers flailing, the mushroom on its back spewing an overwhelming cloud of colorful toxic mist. But all of it was futile, because Sowa had already blown her dispel flute, and gentle sound waves isolated the mist while Charlie threw thorn traps to pin its movement. 30 seconds later, the arrogant elite, its colossal body finally spent, crashed to the ground and lost all signs of life. The system congratulated us on defeating the elite monster, and a dazzling blue light condensed beside the corpse into an enticing blue treasure chest. I crawled out from under the crab shell, covered in foul-smelling green blood, and let out a long breath. Chef Dehe had exited his berserk state too, his face pale, the slight kidney deficiency side effect clearly kicking in, and he clutched his waist and looked at me with reverence and a hint of confusion, asking who had taught me that move. Without changing my expression, I put the basketball back in my backpack and told him it was a family secret. He had nothing to say. Liana leaped down from above with the same complex look, unable to understand how a flashy, harmless dance and ball trick could send a ferocious elite into a daze, and decided to herself that perhaps this was the mystery of humans. Let her think it was a mystery. Beats explaining I'd gone from shut-in to point guard against my will. I didn't explain and walked straight up to fling the blue chest open, and as the light faded, 3 items lay inside. The first was a blueprint shimmering green, a spore grenade, green excellent, crafted from an iron ingot, a fungal spore, and elastic mycelium, a throwable that burst into a wide paralyzing spore cloud dealing minor damage, and a 5-second paralysis. Perfect for ambushes. My eyes lit up, because this was a custom-made crowd control artifact for team battles. The second was a strangely shaped crab pincer, a crab pincer fist blade marked as the left of a set, blue excellent, attack power 30 to 50 with 5% armor penetration. The set bonus still unknown, a weapon modified from the crab's giant pincer, sharp and sturdy. I made a few gestures with it and it felt good. Higher attack and armor piercing than my wolf fang twin blades, though without their skills. A pity it was only the left half. The last was a tattered map of beast hide drawn with strange symbols, most of it stained, with one spot circled in red beside a drawing of a giant mushroom crown. A glow forest map fragment marked 1 of 2, pointing to the core area where a great treasure or a great danger might be hidden. A clue to the final boss. I was delighted and put all 3 away, then ordered everyone to rest on the spot 10 minutes to recover. Chef Dehe took out pots and bowls and began processing blue mushrooms into life-restoring dishes, the 2 felony helping at his side. Just then, a faint sound of fighting and roaring came from another direction in the forest, and Liana's ears twitched as she warned that someone was over there. I frowned, because other players in the instance was not good news, and decided we'd go take a look and stay hidden. The 5-person team moved stealthily toward the sounds, and hid behind a giant mushroom shaped like a canopy, peeking out cautiously. In a clearing not far away, a 5-person team was besieging an elite identical to the crab we just killed, and they coordinated well. Clearly foreigners, a burly man with a large shield at the front, 2 archers loosing arrows from the rear, an assassin circling the giant crab for an opening. But what caught my attention was the figure at the very back throwing ice cones, a man in luxurious black leather armor, tall and straight, radiating a powerful, disdainful aura even with his face unclear, and the instance let me faintly read the ID above his head, A104556. A big shot from Area A, and I had an impression of the ID, the first player in the world to awaken an S-rank talent, announced server-wide by the system, Elemental Control, Winter. I murmured that it was them, my voice solemn, never having expected to meet a legendary top player here. Just as I weighed whether to slip away or watch quietly, Chef Dehe lowered his voice beside me and pointed out in a tempting tone that they seemed to be having a hard time and that the crab still had half its health. I looked at him, and he licked his lips, a dangerous light flickering in his eyes, suggesting that if we rushed out and hit them hard, the boss's drops and their equipment would all be ours. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. It was a textbook chance to snatch a victory, the enemy tied down and in poor shape. A flank ambush very likely to wipe out both the crab and the small team for a blue chest plus the net worth of 5 well-equipped players, a temptation enough to make any player in the Mind Cave world lose his reason. Chef Dehe's eyes were already glowing green, his grip tightening on the ladle, ready to charge. But my reason told me no, and I pressed gently on his shoulder, shaking my head, telling him not to be impulsive, my voice soft but carrying an undeniable calm. What a joke. Who was the oriole and who was the cicada was still uncertain. I remembered the man at A104556 clearly. As the first to awaken an S-rank talent, he'd received a special building chest, and the event 2 days ago had handed him an orange one, when the highest I'd ever opened was purple and it had already yielded the lucky necklace. What an orange chest could hold I didn't dare imagine, and playing the Oriole behind a player like that wasn't seeking excitement, it was seeking death. Because I had no doubt that the moment we showed any murderous intent he had a trump card to drag our whole team down with him. Chef Dehe was still unwilling, but I cut him off, told him there were no buts, and said to just watch. My gaze went back to the distant battlefield, where the small team's fight was as hard as Chef Dehe had said. The burly man with the shield was the main tank, his talent clearly defense-oriented, stubbornly holding the line and eating most of the crab's attacks. But the heavy pincers sent sparks flying off his shield with every swing and forced him back repeatedly, his shield's durability dropping fast. The two archers rained arrows on the hard shell from the rear, but they only produced a clinking of metal and dealt very limited damage. And the assassin's figure was elusive, yet the crab's defense had almost no blind spot, so he still hadn't found a chance to strike. The team's whole output seemed concentrated on the S-rank man, who merely flicked his fingers to materialize sharp ice cones out of thin air, sending them whistling into the crab's joints, each hit chipping a sliver of health and slightly delaying its movements. Efficient and precise, but each time he released one, his face grew a shade paler, the intensity clearly draining a tremendous amount of his energy. The battle reached a stalemate, and then the crab, besieged too long, finally seemed enraged, stopping its attacks, digging its 8 legs deep into the ground, the huge colorful mushroom on its back trembling violently. Liana whispered a warning that it was going to release poison, and before her words finished, a visible thick mist of countless colorful spores erupted from beneath the cap, spreading incredibly fast and almost instantly swallowing the whole 5-person team. The A-Zone master shouted for them to retreat, and I felt surprised I could understand him, the system apparently helping with the translation. But their team had no support like Sowa to dispel, and screams instantly came from within the mist, high continuous poison damage. The S-rank man reacted fastest, chugging a red potion that surged his health back up, only for the poison to suppress it again, because a recovery potion could restore health but not strip the continuous bleeding status. The crab gave them no chance to breathe, charging headlong through its own mist straight at the tottering shield warrior. The giant pincer slamming down so the cracked shield shattered with a crash, the warrior spitting blood, flying back into a large rock, and passing out. The team's defense line collapsed at that moment, the remaining 4 fully exposed inside the elite's attack range, and the A-Zone master cursed, dodging frantically and searching for a way to break the deadlock. His gaze swept the chaotic field like a drowning man hunting for a lifeline, passed over the rampaging crab and the swirling mist, and locked precisely onto the huge mushroom where we were hiding. We'd been discovered. My heart tightened, Liana's body tensed, and Chef Dehe held his ladle across his chest. Standoff, ambush, or something else. Countless thoughts flashed through my mind, but the man's next action blew past every one of them, because the legendary high and mighty S-rank master, the top player admired by countless others, used all his strength to let out a hoarse cry for help in our direction, begging friends in the distance to help them, and promising eternal gratitude. That shout left me confused, an S-Zone master asking us for help had they gotten the script wrong. My mind raced. If I let them fend for themselves and this man really had a hidden card and escaped, a grudge would form, and since no one could leave the instance without clearing it, being targeted by an S-rank combat talent would mean sleepless nights. The instance also required killing the final boss to leave, and these 2 crabs were likely the gatekeepers, so if his team didn't fight them I would have to. And at that point, who could promise this A-Zone master wouldn't stand back as the true Oriole? A powerful enemy is far more terrifying than a potential ally. I chose to help first, reasoning that if this man had good character we could cooperate, and if not, I'd act according to the situation. I sent Sowa out first, the support both a gesture of goodwill and a test, holding the rest of us back so we could provide backup fast if the other party had other intentions. She acknowledged with a meow and darted out from behind the mushroom like a bolt of white lightning toward the poison-shrouded fight, and the clear flute sound rang out again, 2 distinct but equally gentle sound waves spreading out, the dispel flute blowing away the deadly mist like a warm breeze and the healing flute scattering specks of green light onto the A-Zone team. The poison damage ticking above the master and his teammates vanished, replaced by steady recovery, and the unconscious shield warrior slowly woke under the nourishing light while the whole A-Zone team stared in disbelief. Then I moved, not charging directly but pulling a newly crafted wooden shield from my backpack and hurling it to the shield warrior who'd just risen, calling for him to catch it. The big man caught it on instinct, glanced at its attributes, looked toward me and nodded heavily, then rolled over without hesitation, raised the white quality shield, charged and slammed it into one of the crab's legs, and the crab's movement paused with a dull thud. I roared for Chef Dehe to hit the other side, and he couldn't wait, activating frenzy, his muscles bulging, becoming an enraged bull and swinging the ladle into the crab's other leg, while I circled to the front like lightning. Under the combined force, the crab, already unstable, lost its balance and crashed sideways to the ground, its 8 legs flailing in the air, its defenseless soft underbelly fully exposed. I called to focus fire on the belly, my roar a bugle for a general assault. The A-Zone Master reacted extremely fast, no longer holding back his mental power, gripping a staff in both hands as a visible icy blue chill condensed at the tip. Calling Extreme Ice Cone, and a massive cone several times thicker than before, radiating terrifying cold, whistled from his hand into the exposed belly, his face going even paler from the cost. My attack landed at the same time, the Wolf-Fang twin blades crossing downward with 2 deadly gleams into the weakest point. A critical hit for 78, and Chef Dehe was more brutal still, leaping high and hammering the ladle down like a pile driver, so the abdominal shell caved into a concave pit, and green liquid spurted wildly. The 2 archers and the assassin reacted too, unleashing arrows and skills in a deluge at that single weak point. Half a minute later, the crab let out a final mournful shriek, thrashed in vain, and under the focused fire of 8 people its thin belly shell tore, its health plummeting like a floodgate opening, until in less than a minute the blue elite that had forced even the A-Zone Master into a bitter struggle stiffened and fell limp, all life gone. The system congratulated both teams on the co-kill and told me that based on my contribution, I'd receive half the treasure chest loot, and a blue chest identical to the one I'd opened materialized beside the corpse as the body vanished, leaving a few mushrooms. The battle was over, but I kept my distance, still cautious, while Chef Dehe clutched his waist strained but grinning ear to ear, and Liana and Charlie stayed hidden in the shadows, weapons poised in case those people made any sudden move. The A-Zone Master watched my team with an extremely complex gaze, plainly wondering how a B-Zone player could field a team like this. A cat playing 2 support flutes at once, a cook with terrifying burst, the figures in the shadows, and a calm young man who commanded with composure and could fight himself, the overall strength probably no less than the Major Zone elites, and in some ways even more. After a silence, the A-Zone Master walked over proactively, shedding his arrogance, extended his hand, and introduced himself as Andrei Yevich from A10 Zone, the rest of his team his followers, thanking me for the help. His voice was hoarse but his attitude sincere. I shook his hand and gave him Jinmo, B2 Zone, telling him it was nothing. He called it a life-saving grace, smiling wryly that without us they might have suffered heavy losses today, then glanced at the mushrooms in the blue chest and offered, very straightforwardly, that the monster's materials were his, but I could take the whole treasure chest as a thank you gift. How did that sound? He acted generously, both because we genuinely saved them and because he clearly wanted to show sincerity and befriend a powerful, mysterious player, on the logic that more friends always beat more enemies. I smiled and told him there was no need for a thank you gift, that we'd split it 50-50 as the system said. He was stunned and asked if I was sure. I nodded and said that I wasn't helping to take advantage, and that in a place like this one more friend was worth more than one more piece of equipment. My words were very direct. He looked at me deeply, then burst out laughing and declared that I, Andre, had made a friend for life, patting my shoulder, his attitude turning far more familiar. As players from different zones, if we could cooperate, it would help future development and intelligence both ways. We walked forward and opened the chest fast, finding the crab claw fist blade marked right of the set. Blue excellent, the same 30-50 attack and 5% armor pierce. The set bonus naming Crab Claw Heavy Strike, a 1-minute window of higher critical and armor pierce rate on an hour cooldown when both halves were equipped. There was also a follower skill book, Heavy Shield Bash, green, bound on loot, requiring a warrior class with 15 strength and 15 constitution, letting a shield deliver a powerful bash that damaged and could stun. And the last item was another Glow Forest map fragment. Andre glanced at the skill book, looked at his just recovered shield warrior, rubbed his hands and asked a bit awkwardly whether we could discuss it, since the book mattered a great deal to his brother. I smiled and nodded, taking the right crab claw fist blade instead, since with the pair complete Chef Dehe's attacks would stun on their own, and he'd have no need of the shield bash, so neither side lost out. The shield warrior thanked me, calling me my lord, and took the book delighted, and the exchange done. The atmosphere turned even warmer. Then Andre picked up the map fragment and looked at it. He shook the half piece of beast hide in his hand, his eyes filled with anticipation, and I understood and took my portion out too. The moment the two fragments drew near each other, they emitted a faint glow, slipped from our hands, spun slowly in midair, and merged with a snap, the stains and creases smoothing out into a brand new complete route map, a golden arrow finally pointing at an unremarkable mountain wall nearby. The wall trembled, a fissure appeared out of thin air, and the dark entrance breathed out an aura of the unknown. Andre's breathing quickened as he told me that by this setup the final boss inside was likely guarding a large blue, or perhaps even a purple chest. A sharp glint in his eyes as he proposed our two teams join forces, take it down, and split everything evenly on success. Chef Dehei's eyes went wide and he nearly drooled, because a purple chest was enough to make anyone feverish just hearing the name. I nodded decisively without the slightest hesitation, agreeing, and the system noted that player A104556 had requested to add me as a friend, which I accepted. We rested about an hour to let skills cool and Andre's spirit recover. Then I waved my hand and led my team into the fissure first. The inside wasn't long, and after a few minutes the light ahead suddenly brightened and the space opened dramatically into a massive valley ringed by sheer cliffs like a natural gladiatorial arena. Right in the center, a giant ape the size of a small truck, covered entirely in pink fur, squatted with its back to us, seeming to concentrate on something, and everyone held their breath and gripped their weapons for a fierce battle. Then the pink ape scratched its butt, brought its fingers up to its nose, and took a deep sniff. The air froze. Chef Dehei's face froze with it. A crack appeared on Andre's solemn expression, and even the usually calm Liana's eye twitched. This was the final boss. The style seemed a bit off. As everyone stood stunned by the fragrant scene, the pink ape seemed to sense something and spun around, a large fuzzy face full of comical absurdity appearing before us as the system finally sounded, naming it the Peach Fuzz Beast King, Blue Elite Boss, with 4,000 health, 100 attack, 70 defense, and a warning that the creature possessed an extremely strong digestive system and could launch large-scale attacks by flatulating, so please proceed with caution. Nobody had a word. Chef Dehei nearly burst out laughing at the warning and forcibly choked it down, his face going bright red, and Andre's expression turned extremely strange as he looked at the thing baring its teeth, then at me, asking with a complicated face whether I was sure this was an elite boss. My mouth twitched. The style wasn't just wrong, the system was being downright abstract. But a boss was a boss, and the attributes in black and white were a genuine threat, so I shouted to prepare for battle, my voice like a clap of thunder dragging everyone back from the fragrant shock. Andre, a top player himself, instantly adjusted, waved his hand, and his four subordinates formed up. The burly man with the new wooden shield once again at the very front, though noticeably more to the side this time, wary of the area behind the Beast King. The Peach Fuzz Beast King didn't care what these two-legged beasts thought, its truck-sized body pushing off and shaking the ground. No skill, just the purest barbaric charge, wrapped in a foul-smelling gust and bearing down on the densest part of the crowd like an out-of-control pink-heavy tank. Andre commanded everyone to scatter and not try to tank it. Just then Charlie and the usually quiet Sowa behind me let out sharp cries at once, their fur standing on end. I asked without turning my head what was wrong, and Charlie waved his little paws, gesturing anxiously, pointing at the Beast King while miming eating and spraying, telling me it was him. It was him. I understood the gist at once, that these two feline from another world recognized the monster, and asked quickly whether it ate things and then used different skills. The two nodded desperately. During that brief exchange, the Beast King had already closed in, and Andre's shield warrior roared and activated Heavy Shield Bash, becoming a blur and smashing into the side of its face, the massive impact swerving its body and interrupting the charge. But it suffered almost no real damage, merely shaking its head and swatting the warrior away with a fan-like hand for 112. A large chunk of his health gone in an instant, only Sowa's healing flute pouring green light into him fast enough to keep him from being killed outright. Chef Dehei gasped at the attack power. Pleased with its hit, the Beast King didn't pursue but stood upright and looked around, its gaze locking onto a cluster of thriving yellow mushrooms in the corner of the valley, and it rushed over, yanked the whole cluster out by the roots, and stuffed them into its gaping maw without even looking, swallowing them whole. I warned everyone loudly that it was eating something and to be careful. The next second we witnessed an unforgettable sight, the Beast King's stomach rapidly inflating like a balloon as it turned and aimed its massive fuzzy rear precisely at the center point between my team and Andre's. A sense of foreboding swallowed everyone's hearts. Andre let out a heart-rending roar to run, and it was too late. A deafening, continuous sound of flatulence erupted, and a sickening yellowish-brown gas visible to the naked eye, carrying unknown particulate matter blasted out like a volcanic eruption into a giant mushroom cloud that swallowed a 50-meter radius. And the system told me I'd entered the stench field and suffered a toxic fart attack. My strength down 5, agility down 5, defense down 10, afflicted with poisoned and nauseated, losing 15 health a second. Of every way I'd imagined dying in this game, choking on a monkey's gas was not one of them. Chef Dehei lost control first and threw up on the spot, his insides churning, the fumes making it impossible to open his eyes. And Andre's side fared no better, his two archer attendants instantly overwhelmed and collapsing, health plummeting. This wasn't just a stench, it was a fatal biological attack. Then at the critical juncture, a clear, melodious flute pierced the foul domain like music from heaven. Soa, who'd long since followed my instructions and retreated outside the safe perimeter, puffing out her cheeks and blowing the flute of dispersion with all her might. Gentle sound waves spreading so that wherever they passed the toxic fog vanished as if it had met its nemesis, the negative statuses above everyone's heads disappearing with it. Everyone gulped down fresh air, looking at the little white cat with gratitude for surviving. Andre's assassin attendant muttering whether this support was a deity. I praised her, then ordered Liana to shoot for its eyes, and Chef Dehe and Charlie to attack its lower body with me to make it lose its footing, because after that area attack, the Beast King seemed exhausted and was squatting to catch its breath. The perfect time to strike. Liana's arrow shot accurately at its eye, but was blocked by its massive palm. While the rest of us reached its feet, the Wolf-Fang twin blades, the stainless steel ladle, and Charlie's cat claw hammer striking its thick ankles at once. The pained Beast King roared furiously and lifted an enormous foot to stomp us into paste, but just then it spotted a cluster of fiery red mushrooms not far off, abandoned the attack again, rushed over, and shoved them into its mouth. Chef Dehe's heart sank as he asked whether it was happening again. This time its body didn't inflate. Instead, a dazzling red light glowed in its throat, and the air temperature climbed sharply, and Andre roared that it was a fire attack and to get shields up, his shield warrior having just downed a potion charging to the very front with his wooden shield raised. A massive fan-shaped stream of flame erupted from the Beast King's mouth and engulfed everything before it, pushing the shield warrior back repeatedly as the white-grade wooden shield charred and cracked at a visible rate. The rest of us only able to dodge awkwardly. After the flame subsided, the Beast King seemed unsatisfied and suddenly thrust out its huge round belly, its normally pink skin taking on an eerie metallic sheen, and Andre's assassin seized the opening, flashed to its side, and stabbed his dagger at the abdomen, only for a sharp clang to ring out and sparks to fly, the dagger leaving a shallow white mark while the assassin's arm went numb from the jolt. Charlie shouted again that the belly was hard. My brow furrowed tightly. This boss was too shameless. Flame breath for long range, poison gas for melee, ridiculously high physical damage, and steel-hard defense on its belly. Practically a mobile war fortress. Andre's voice came over urgent, saying this couldn't go on, that its defense was too high, our attacks barely effective, and our mana and stamina draining too fast. He was right. The two teams had fought a long time, yet the Beast King was still full of vigor while we'd burned through a considerable amount of potions and stamina. The Beast King, impatient with invaders who couldn't breach its defenses, let out an angry roar, its gaze slowly shifting to the huge multicolored mushroom wrapped around its tail. Untouched since the start, a sense of crisis far stronger than any before flooded everyone's minds, and Liana's voice carried urgency as she warned it was going to eat that mushroom. Everyone's hearts leaped into their throats, because the multicolored mushroom the Beast King treated like a treasure was clearly extraordinary, when the ordinary yellow and red ones had already unleashed poison gas and fire. What would it do after this one, turn into Godzilla and breathe atomic fire? Andre shrieked at it to stop, the cold air around him condensing frantically into a glacier spike larger than any he'd cast, shooting straight for the Beast King's hand reaching for the mushroom. But the Beast King was faster than he'd imagined, completely ignoring the incoming spike, yanking the multicolored mushroom from its tail, and roughly shoving it into its mouth. A distinct swallowing sound ringing out. The glacier spike slammed into its chest for 158, exploding in a cloud of ice fog, yet only made the massive body stagger slightly. In the next second, a terrifying transformation took hold. A roar unlike an ape and more like an ancient beast awakening erupted from the depths of the Beast King's throat, its comical pink fur rapidly turning an ominous dark red, its muscles swelling and bulging frantically as if inflated, its already robust body growing even more colossal and terrifying, its eyes wholly replaced by blood-red light filled with pure unmasked madness. The system told me the Peach Fuzz Beast King had consumed the Frenzy 7-colored mushroom and entered frenzy status, a warning that all its attributes were increased by 100%, its desire to attack extreme, all rationality lost. The duration 1 minute. All attributes, doubled. The system notification hangs in the air, and I watch every face around me go bloodless. The enraged Peach Fuzz Beast King has stopped wasting itself on flashy long-range attacks, which is the part that scares me most, and now it does only the simplest motion it has. A swipe of its claws gone sharp as blades. One casual sweep through empty air carves 5 furrows half a foot deep into solid rock. And that is just the backwash. Anything caught in the actual blow, even a shield warrior, would be torn into ribbons before it hit the floor. The thing locks its blood-red eyes onto Andre's team, the closest target, and Andre screams at his people to retreat, but his attendant is not fast enough to outrun a monster in Berserk state. The Beast King flickers in front of the shield warrior, and its massive claw swats him away like a sack of broken sticks into the distant mountain wall, his health bar dropping to a single sliver. That is what doubled attributes look like. It pivots without pause and lunges at the assassin, and Andre, fully panicked, shouts for help in my direction. My face is grim, but I do not panic. The moment the Beast King swallowed that mushroom and went berserk, I had already triggered the hunter set skill, Weakness Perception, and now the monster glows with dark red aura, a fist-sized red spot pulsing near its back heart. The core weakness. The trouble is obvious. The thing moves too fast and hits too hard to slip behind it and reach that spot the honest way. So I do not do it the honest way. I give Charlie the order, telling the little fellaine hiding at the edge that now is the time. Charlie chirps and drops its disguise, hauling a cleverly built metal disc from its small backpack, a paralysis trap, and hurls it with everything in its chubby body right into the charging path. The trap unfolds mid-air and lands disguised as a common rock, the exact color of the ground, and the bloodthirsty Beast King stamps its huge paw straight down onto it. Golden electric arcs erupt from the floor and wrap the monster like a knot of pythons. Its body locks rigid, convulsing, the dark red aura flickering like flame doused with water before it gutters out. The system tells me the Peach Fuzz Beast King has entered the paralyzed state and that its enrage has been forcibly interrupted. 10 seconds of paralysis. I tell Charlie that was well done, and I mean it, because these 10 seconds are the entire fight, the margin between living and dying. I call for everyone to focus fire on the weakness at its back heart with their strongest attacks, and Andre gives the same order to his side almost in the same breath. One chance. That is all this is. Andre holds nothing back, biting his tongue to spray a mouthful of vital blood across his staff and chanting something I cannot follow before he calls down Winter's fury. Liana already has a moonlight-imbued silver arrow knocked on her hand crossbow. Chef Dehe's eyes go bloodshot as his two newly assembled Crabclaw knuckle blades blur into afterimages for a Crabclaw heavy strike, and the assassin who just escaped death vanishes from his spot to unleash the backstab he has been charging. As for me, I push my speed to its ceiling and circle behind the thing like a phantom, driving a cross-slash through the red spot with the Wolf-Fang twin blades. Every surviving fighter from both teams pours their hidden ultimate techniques into that single point at once, damage numbers cascading over its head. 288 is an armor-piercing critical, 121 355 with a slow applied, the count climbing too fast to read. Its health bottoms out as if a floodgate opened. The 10 seconds end, the blood red drains from its eyes into confusion and, strangely, relief, and its body crashes backward in a cloud of dust. The system congratulates my team and Team A104556 on cooperating to bring down the high-grade blue elite leader, and tells me my share of the drops, based on contribution, comes to 60%. Everyone collapses, gasping. As the dust settles, beside the corpse, a treasure chest larger than any I have seen floats in brilliant blue light, and next to it lies a single 7-colored mushroom that seems to hold every color in the world inside a gentle halo. Andre's shield warrior plops down, glancing at his sliver of health, then at my little cat grooming itself. Gratitude all over his face. Andre lets out a long breath and walks up to me, thanking me with real sincerity. If not for my team, and most of all the paralysis trap the felony threw at the exact right moment, his squad would have been gutted today. An elite boss with doubled stats is simply not something players at this stage are meant to fight. I wave it off as cooperation and get straight to the loot, telling him the system set it at 6 for us, 4 for him, and that if the chest holds 5 items I will take 3 and he takes 2. He agrees at once, then objects to his own advantage, insisting my team played the decisive role, and that I should take 70%. He is not being polite. Having watched my team work, all he wants now is to befriend the unfathomable player from Zone B. I tell him we go by what the system said. Rules are rules. And he stops being coy and steps toward the colorful mushroom, checking its attributes out of habit. The panel calls it a peculiar ornamental mushroom, special quality, and says it can be placed in the mine tunnel as a unique decoration. The note adds that it looks beautiful but has no practical use, that perhaps he could try eating it, with a system hint that ingestion by non-peach fuzz species may lead to unpredictable consequences. Andre's mouth twitches. The culprit that drove the boss into a final rampage turns out to be a houseplant. He shakes his head, loses all interest, and turns toward the real prize, the blue chest. Then I speak up, asking Andre if we can discuss something, and pointing at the mushroom, telling him I find it unique, and asking whether he will let me have it. What he does not see is that the whole time he was reading attributes, my spinner was flashing red in front of me like a fire alarm, naming a high-value recyclable, a rampaging 7-colored mushroom, perfect specimen, extremely high artistic value, special biological energy inside it, and urging me to recycle it at once for an unexpected surprise. Of course it did. Andre is stunned that I want the flashy, useless thing, checks the attributes once more to confirm it is good for nothing but looking pretty and committing suicide, then waves a generous hand and tells me to take it. It is just a decoration. Not even loot. A memento of the battle. I tell him I will not be polite and tuck the mushroom away. He thinks he just traded a worthless ornament for a favor from a top zone B player and made a killing. My heart is even happier than his. With the mushroom settled, Andre gestures for me to open the giant blue chest. Light blooms and 5 items float inside. The first is a rock turtle heavy shield blueprint. Craftable 5 times. Blue excellent, granting a shield with very high physical defense, and a hardened passive that can raise its own defense when struck. And Andre and his shield warrior breathe faster, since it is tailor-made for them. The second is a green skill book, Oni Frenzy Dance, binding on pickup, requiring an assassin or swordsman follower, unleashing a storm of forward slashes that raises attack speed, which I note resembles my own Oni. The third draws every eye, a mechanical core glowing purple, listed as damaged purple epic, the energy core of some unknown high-tech construct, severely damaged but still holding vast energy, repairable or usable as a power source. The fourth is a blue mine tunnel area expansion card, worth 20 square meters, crude and incredibly useful. The fifth is an animal shelter blueprint, blue, building a warm home where my companions gain a little experience daily. I lay out the split. The rock turtle heavy shield blueprint and the Oni Frenzy dance book go to Andre, the blueprint for his shield warrior, the book for his assassin. The mechanical core, the expansion card, and the animal shelter blueprint come to me. A clean 6-4 by value, his 2 finished products giving immediate punch, my 3 leaning toward long-term development. Andre has no objection, since he already pulled other energy sources from an orange chest and has no use for a damaged core. The trade closes, and both of us walk away pleased. Andre leads his satisfied team off, and after we agree to keep in touch, he departs. Back in my mine tunnel, Chef Dehe rubs his hands and says we hit the jackpot. I build the animal shelter first, and a cozy 2-story log and hide cabin pops into being beside my home, drawing Charlie and Sowa over to sniff it before they bolt inside and poke their heads out the second-floor window, clearly in love with the place. Then I pull out the item everyone overlooked, the frenzied 7-color mushroom, and feed it to Spinner. The assessment comes back extremely high value, perfect integrity, and the recycle offers 2 options. Option A is a generous pile. 2 random blue equipment, 5 medium health potions, and a weak frenzy potion, basically the loot of another boss kill. Option B is a single purple chest. Hesitating here would be the greatest insult I could offer my golden finger. I choose B, and a massive purple chest drops to the floor. Next I hand Spinner the broken mechanical core. Andre gave up on it because the repair materials are scarce, but for me it has a better use. And again, the recycle offers a generous spread of iron and a blue tool blueprint against option B, another purple chest. I choose B without slowing down, and a second purple chest materializes beside the first, the pair painting the whole tunnel a dreamy color. Chef Dehe's eyes go round and he asks whether this is a double yoke. Charlie and Soa poke their heads out of their new home, meowing at the giant objects. My pulse ticks up, and I touch the sigh of the Goddess of Fortune necklace on my chest, since paying respects before opening cannot hurt. I lay both hands on the 2 chests at once and open them. 2 columns of purple light shoot up, and as the glow fades, 4 clusters hover in the air. The first is a dark purple ring engraved with a lifelike bat, a vampire ring granting strength +5 and agility +3. With beginner lifesteal, it gives my melee a 10% chance to restore 15% of damage dealt as health, once the cherished item of some vampire count. Good stuff, suited to my style, and combined with the high attack speed Oni gives me, that chance turns into real survivability. I slide it on, and feel a cool, powerful force surge through me. The second is a mine tunnel area expansion card worth 100 square meters, purple quality. I use it, and the whole tunnel shudders again, walls retreating outward until my already roomy home looks like an underground plaza, prompting Chef Dehe to say we could hold a horse race in here now. The third is a blue skill scroll that grants 1 random blue skill on use, a solid reward, but I set it aside for the last item, the one shining brightest with the heaviest aura. It is a blueprint of unknown leather depicting a majestic statue radiating iron will, a statue of the God of War blueprint marked guild exclusive, purple epic, requiring stone, iron, wood, and 1 ancient rune stele, granting all guild members a permanent buff called God of War's protection. All attributes +2 and all attack damage up by 10%. My breath nearly stops. Applied to every single Guardian member, it means my guild walks the field with an edge that crushes everyone else. The only snag is the ancient rune steel, a material I have never once seen mentioned in any channel. I open the panel and step into the Guardian channel, where Cheon Dodo and Lee Wee Wee are chatting. Cheon Dodo gripes about a green chest that gave him nothing but compressed biscuits, and Lee Wee Wee cheerfully reports her talent doubled hers into 2 chests packed with iron ingots. Zhou Yu surfaces just long enough to say he is envious, and Li Daewu, ever the philosopher, asks whether iron ingots can be eaten, leaving Qian Dodo speechless. Warmth fills my chest watching them. Instead of saying much, I screenshot the War God statue blueprint's attributes and drop the image into the channel. For 2 full seconds the channel goes silent, then it detonates. Qian Dodo fires off a wall of disbelief, asking whether he read it right, all members +2 to everything and 10% damage, demanding to know whether I raided some immortal's lair. Li Weiwei screams that she always knew Godmo was the best, and that the guild is about to be invincible. Zhou Yu, brief as ever, says the attributes are outrageous, and from him those words carry weight. Li Daewu asks whether the statue will let him one-punch wild boars, and Qian Dodo tells him punching them dead might be a stretch, but he will certainly be tougher, which wins Li Daewu's enthusiastic vote. Sharing the joy beats hoarding treasure alone. I let them settle before asking whether anyone has seen the last material, the ancient rune stale, since the stone, iron, and wood are easy. The fever cools at once. Qian Dodo, who lives in the trading channel, has never heard the term and guesses it is rare on the blueprint's own level, purple at least. Li Weiwei swears she will dig deep into the walls hunting for one, and Zhou Yu offers to ask the world channel but holds little hope, since nobody sitting on a strategic material would trade it lightly. The enthusiasm hardens into a shared goal, and I close the channel feeling steadier with a direction set. That leaves the last orb, the blue skill scroll, and I use it. It floods my mind with information, and the system tells me I have acquired the blue skill Shadow Strike, an active that consumes a little stamina to dash forward 5 meters, and grants my next melee an armor pierce ignoring 10% of the target's defense. 15-second cooldown. My eyes light up. A displacement skill that fuses movement with burst damage, and for someone who wields Wolf-Fang twin blades and runs Oni for high-frequency output, it is worth as much as a purple piece of gear, whether I use it to chase, to escape, or to land a fatal armor-pierced blow at the end of a dash. I run it the way the description says, and the next instant my body leaves an afterimage and reappears 5 meters off, right behind Chef Dehe. He is tossing food in a wok and nearly drops the ladle, spinning to find my face beside his, patting his chest and complaining that I walk without a sound and scared him half to death. I just nod, satisfied. With Shadow Strike, facing higher-level monsters carries a lot more assurance of both surviving and killing. Just then, Qian Dodo's avatar starts flashing wildly in the guild channel, and he tags everyone, saying he remembered something. I click in fast and ask what. The ancient rune stale, he says. He thinks he saw it in someone's chat message. The channel explodes again. Zhou Yu asks who and at what price, and Qian Dodo says it was not a trade, it was 3 days ago. A guy whose talent seemed to be archaeology or appraisal, who dug a damaged stele out of a wall, did not know what it was, and asked around. The description mentioning the word rune. Li Weiwei asks where the man is now and whether we can still reach him. Qian Dodo takes a long breath, straining to recall, admitting he is not certain it is the stele we need, but it is the only thing close he has ever seen. That at the time plenty of people mocked the man for treating trash like treasure before he went quiet. He remembers the ID because it was special, a run of consecutive digits. B2111. Qian Dodo fires off a private message to B2111, but the window stays silent. Everyone waits a few minutes while the mood slides towards something heavier. Li Weiwei asks whether the man is ignoring us, and Qian Dodo says no reply at all. Maybe he is asleep. Zhou Yu types one word, instance. Qian Dodo pushes back, saying everyone minds at this hour, and that an instance throws a system message saying the other party cannot receive messages, which is not what is happening. This is read with no reply, or no time to reply. No time to reply. In a world this treacherous, that usually means the worst. An ambush by monsters or an invasion by players. And if the man dies, the ancient rune stele dies with him or ends up in his killer's hands. Qian Dodo curses, wishing aloud we had a minecart that could go straight to the man. The complaint is a key turning in a lock. Li Weiwei voices the obvious doubt that minecarts teleport at random, so how could anyone be sure of reaching him? Instead of answering, Qian Dodo throws a screenshot into the channel, a positioning beacon, rare quality, a one-time consumable that, once bound to a minecart, locks the teleport destination precisely onto a specified player's mine tunnel, a marvel of quantum entanglement and a little magic that makes both delivery and plunder more exact. The channel bursts into exclamations. Zhou Yu says that is exactly what an A-rank lucky individual would be carrying, and Li Weiwei marvels at Qian Dodo's luck. Even I am surprised, since this thing erases the cart's randomness entirely. But a graver thought surfaces. Li Daewu says it low, that if the Bloodblade Alliance has one of these too, they could come straight to me. Every heart sinks. My reputation has spread too far. The World Channel announcements, the Guardian Guild's founding, all of it making me the most prominent name in B2 Zone and a thorn in plenty of eyes. I steady morale, telling everyone to set that worry aside, because I have a minecart. Everyone except Lee Daewoo, who already knew, freezes, and Chan Dodo blurts out a question about when I got one. I do not explain, only say time waits for no one, we move now, and that Lee Daewoo and Jo Yu come with me, along with Liana and Charlie. Xian Dodo and Lee Waiwei want to come too, but they understand their combat power is thin. When I bring Charlie up in its miniature armor and tiny pickaxe, meowing childishly, the tense mood dissolves, and Li Wei scoops it into her arms to nuzzle it madly, while Charlie purrs and aims a paw at its own chin, asking for a little more pressure right there. Then the seriousness returns. The 5 of us, fully armed, are ready. I pull the steampunk minecart from my backpack, set the positioning beacon into its control panel, and name the target, B2111. The beacon lights faint blue, the cart rumbles, and the rock wall ripples like water as a dark tunnel opens out of nothing. We leap aboard, and with a clang of metal, the cart plunges into the dark. At that same moment, inside Mine Tunnel B2111, the air is thick with blood, and the pressure suffocating. In the center, a curly-haired young man named Yang Soryong stands back-to-back with his 2 laborer followers, gripping crude iron spears, faces pale, facing 5 people whose heads each float a blood-colored saber emblem. The Bloodblade Alliance. Their leader, a tall, scarred man, weighs a broadsword and lets his gaze crawl greedily over Yang Soryong in the warehouse behind him. A skinny, monkeyish man beside him fawns, telling Brother Gang the kid looks like a fat sheep with 2 followers besides. A big score, that they should hand half to Brother Do and let Brother Gang take the lion's share. Brother Gang, satisfied, asks the kid whether he will do it himself or wants help. Yang Soryong's lips tremble as he rasps that he will give everything, just let him live, and Brother Gang laughs that he will not, since killing the kid means the goods are theirs anyway and saves trouble. The shadow of death wraps Yang Soryong completely. It is over, he thinks. Heaven wants him dead. Then, as he closes his eyes, a roar tears out of the far wall, with no warning the unmistakable clang of a minecart. Brother Gang's laughter cuts off, and the gang snaps around to see the rock cracking apart. Another minecart. Yang Soryong stares, but what rises in him is not hope, only deeper despair at the coincidence. Brother Gang shouts at his brothers to finish these 3 fast, since that cart is an unknown. The cart bursts through the rock and halts inside the unfamiliar tunnel, and before the dust settles, a dense reek of blood hits us. I look out through the door crack at a tunnel where 2 cold corpses lie and 1 ragged player drags his bruised body into a corner, while in the center several players wear mocking grins, savoring the massacre like cats batting at mice, the blood-red phantom warblade hovering over them. I tell Lee Daewoo, Jo Yu and Charlie not to move yet, to wait for my signal so we hit them when they least expect it, then push the door open and walk out slow, Liana beside me with her moonlight hand crossbow. Every eye snaps to us. The 5 Bloodblade men stop their pursuit, and the leader shoulders his machete and studies me with interest, then lets undisguised greed flash across his face when his gaze lands on Liana, the look of a man who has spotted rare loot. She is in a hooded cloak, so they have not seen her elf ears, and take her for an ordinary player, her knuckles whitening on the crossbow. Brother Gang grins a mouthful of yellow teeth, and tells the kid to leave the girl and hand over all his supplies, says he is in a good mood and might let him die quickly. I act as if I have heard nothing, my gaze sweeping the corpses before settling on the trembling survivor. Then the skinny man beside him stares hard at me and tells Brother Gang to wait, that he used his talent, War Eye, and this guy is 9527. Brother Gang's smile freezes solid into fear. B29527. B29527. The number is famous across all of B2 Zone, first place on the points ranking, and Brother Gang's face cycles through expressions before he fires an urgent message to his boss. Brother Do, B2144, saying they have run into 9527, and he has a girl with him. The reply comes fast. Brother Do tells him good. Kill him. Brother Gang protests that this is the points leader, a ruthless one, and asks whether they can handle him. Brother Do calls him trash, says the man clearly has a life talent, that his high score comes entirely from hiding in his tunnel and farming points off defensive structures, that without his fortifications he is nothing, and that all 5 of them have combat talents, so what is there to fear? He promises each man a piece of green equipment for the kill. At the words green equipment, the fear in Brother Gang's eyes drowns under greed, and he closes the panel and turns vicious again, telling his brothers that Brother Do has given the order. Take down 9527, and each man earns green equipment. The promise lights them up, their wary looks at me shifting into the fanaticism people reserve for mobile treasure chests. They mutter about a life talent player trying to act like a big shot, and Brother Gang points his knife at the survivor in the corner, telling one man to deal with that rat first so he does not get in the way, then ordering the other 4 to attack together. Finish me quickly and leave the girl for them. Killing intent rushes toward us as they close in, sneering. Inside the cart, Lee Daewoo and Jo Yu have already gripped their weapons, muscles tensed, waiting only for my word. But a figure faster than both of them flashes out from under the cart like a phantom. Charlie. Before anyone can react, the falling is airborne, and with a flick of its chubby paw, it lobs a round object in a perfect arc into the dead center of the four men. A spore grenade. The thing pops the instant it lands, a cloud of pale green spore mist spreading fast. The four-brother gang included freeze mid-killing move, their vicious sneers still frozen on their faces, while their limbs go dead, paralyzed and unable to move. Even the man peeling off toward the survivor is caught in the radius. 5 seconds of paralysis. I say one word, attack. There is no need for more, because the moonlight hand crossbow in Liana's hand has already locked on. Several streaks of silver light leave her crossbow almost as one line, piercing the eye sockets of the 3 remaining thugs, and the man who was chasing the survivor, sparing only Brother Gang. Weakness damage rolls up, minus 120. Minus 80, an armor break for minus 150, and 3 corpses fall in clouds of dust, the shock and greed still stamped on their faces. One looks sturdier, perhaps carrying a defensive talent, and does not die, so another bolt comes at once. Minus 68, and he drops 2. The whole sequence takes under 4 seconds. The aggressive 5-man squad is reduced to Brother Gang alone, locked stiff in his charging pose, looking as if he has seen a ghost. So that is what an A-rank guild's frontline is worth. Cold sweat beads on Brother Gang's forehead, and when the paralysis lifts, the first thing he does upon regaining his body is drop the machete with a clatter. Then his legs give out and he kneels, hands shooting up, voice tearful, begging me not to kill him, that he surrenders. His arrogance has vanished without a trace, leaving only the terror of a man who survived a massacre. He finally understands that Brother Do was wrong, ridiculously wrong, that there was no life talent, no helpless junk collector who is nothing without his arrow tower, that this damned guy is the Grim Reaper himself. I walk up to him slowly, looking down with eyes that hold no ripple, and ask whether he is Bloodblade Alliance. My voice is not loud, but it makes him tremble head to foot. I ask who his leader is, what talent and skills the man has, how many people are in the Alliance now, and what their talents are, how many minecarts they hold, and how many players they have plundered recently. My gaze shifts from his face to the cooling corpses without a flicker, and that calm terrifies him more than any threat. The strength drains out of him, and like beans pouring from a tube, he spills everything he knows. He says there are 28 of them, no, only 23 left, that the leader is Brother Do, who holds the A-rank talent Mad Blade Master, and can unleash Blade Aura to attack and shield himself. There are 2 other A-ranks, one designated 188 with the talent Marauders, who strengthens minecarts and deals high player damage, and Brother Ryong, designated 7523, a biochemical soldier whose attacks are poisonous and who releases toxic fog. The rest are B rank with sturdiness and hardening, and he stammers that his own is sturdiness. By the end, he is incoherent. I gesture, and Jo Yu presses a cold dagger to his neck, while Liana keeps the crossbow on his head, blocking any escape. Having dealt with the captive, I turn toward the sole survivor in the corner, and as I approach, the curly-haired young man recoils on instinct. I tell him not to be afraid, that I am not here to steal anything, and get straight to it, asking whether he has something called an ancient rune stale. Yang Soryong's head snaps up, eyes mixing astonishment with a threat of wariness, and he nods hesitantly. I tell him I am here to trade for it. Name your price. He is stunned, looking at me, then at the figures behind me, then at the Bloodblade corpses on the ground, clearly thinking that this is no trade, this is a notification. But I genuinely have not used force on him. He takes a deep breath and carefully draws a palm-sized stele from his backpack, its description saying it records ancient runes that control the power of war, its specific use to be explored. This is it. He looks at the broken stone countless people mocked him over, his heart a knot, never having expected it would save his life. He does not name a price. Instead, he gathers his courage and looks directly at me, saying he can give me this, that he wants nothing in return, that with so many people cooperating this smoothly we must be a guild, and that he wants to join us. He knows how much a strong backing matters in this world, especially now with marauders running rampant. Without waiting for my answer, he throws out his bargaining chip, that his name is Yang Soryong and his talent is the A-rank archaeologist, which gives him a higher chance to dig ancient relics out of rock walls, like this stele, and grants him 3 daily attempts to duplicate blueprint fragments in his backpack at roughly a 10% success rate. He scratches at the back of his neck, a little sheepish, admitting he has been feeding himself and his 2 companions by duplicating green blueprint fragments and selling them. A rank archaeologist. My pupils tighten. Ancient relics are exactly the high-value items my spinner loves most, and even what cannot be recycled would serve as material for high-level crafting. More important is the blueprint duplication, because a 10% rate may look low, but with enough time it means any incomplete blueprint can be made whole in his hands, and for anything that needs collected fragments, his presence multiplies our efficiency. This is no ordinary support talent. This is a strategic one that can accelerate the whole team's development. I turn and trade glances with Zhou Yu and Li Daewoo. Li Daewoo grins, honest and simple, no objection at all, and Zhou Yu nods calmly, his eyes saying he too understands the value. I open the guild channel and lay out Yang Soryang's situation briefly. Xian Dodo explodes, an A-rank archaeologist who can duplicate blueprint fragments, insisting I have found a treasure, and that we must recruit him because the guild's future needs exactly this kind of specialized support. Li Weiwei agrees, saying whatever god mode decides she will follow. Unanimous. I close the panel and tell Yang Soryang I agree, and send the guild invitation. He sees the prompt naming player B29527, inviting him to join the Guardian Guild, and trembles, clicking accept without hesitation, a warm current running through him as a shield and longsword emblem rises above his head. From this moment he is no longer an isolated, unaided lone player. I welcome him to the Guardians. Then I turn slowly back to Brother Gang kneeling on the ground, and tell him it is time to talk about him. Brother Gang weeps, knocking his forehead against the rock, begging me not to kill him, saying he will be a prisoner. Do anything, be my ox or horse, anything to live. My gaze sweeps past him to the two cold corpses, and Yang Soryang's eyes dim as he says in a low voice that those were 2 damaged talent cards he opened earlier, summoning 2 ordinary workers, that he had not even gotten to know them. He does not finish, but everyone present understands the desolation in it. I withdraw my gaze, look from Brother Gang back to Yang Soryang, and offer a suggestion in a calm tone, that he take this man as his prisoner, since he needs someone who can fight, that a prisoner recognized by the system cannot betray him and his life or death stays in Yang Soryang's hands at all times. Yang Soryang is stunned at taking in the very villain who just tried to kill him, but then he reasons that his A-rank talent is nearly useless in a fight, and in a world that eats the weak, no muscle means no dignity and no tomorrow. The 3 conditions cannot betray, life and death his to decide, sit like reassurance pills, and after a deep breath he nods hard. Brother Gang feels like a man pardoned at the gallows, his survival instinct completing the role change instantly as he scrambles over on his hands, snot and tears streaming, crying that he was blind before, that from now on he is Yang Soryang's dog, will bite whoever he is told and charge any monster first, and that they can just call him Gangja. The scene leaves Li Daewoo muttering that this guy changes faces faster than flipping a book, seemingly forgetting he was exactly the same once. With the new member's survival settled, I take possession of Gangja's minecart, a reinforced model showing 2 of 6 uses remaining. Adding my own, I now hold 3 teleport charges. I gather the 4 dead players' resources and find nothing much. Stone, iron, food, a few white weapons, all of it bound for the guild residence warehouse for public use. Then I tell everyone we are going home. Meanwhile, in another mine tunnel in B2 zone, Brother Du paces, irritable, while a skinny old man trembles and swings a pickaxe with pitiful efficiency. Several cold notifications pop onto his panel, telling him his members B2488678989566 and 363 have died, and that member B21878 has left the residence. The messages land like hammers. His pupils constrict and he fires a private message to Gangja, only to be told it failed because he has been blacklisted. His rage detonates, and he kicks the old man into the rock wall, snarling at him to dig faster. No food today without a treasure chest. He needs no thought to know that 4 dead and 1 fled is 9527's work, that the spineless Gangja surrendered, and he roars the number like a curse, the violent aura of his Berserk bladesman talent leaking out until the tunnel seems to drop several degrees. But after the anger, he forces himself calm. Gangja said the man had only a girl with him and relies on recycle to hole up, so maybe it is the girl who is dangerous, since a recycled talent should carry little combat power. It must be the girl, he concludes through gritted teeth, swearing that once he crafts a blue weapon and gets a beacon and a cart, he will see how arrogant the man can still be. Back at the Guardian Guild residence, the place is already full of laughter when I return with everyone. Xian Dodo and Li Weiwei crowd the new arrival, peppering Yang Soryang with questions about the wonders of his archaeologist talent, and he answers each one patiently despite his reserve. Seeing me, he respectfully hands over the ancient rune stele, its description naming runes that control the power of war. Xian Dodo slaps his thigh and crows that the materials are complete, begging me to hurry because he cannot wait to see the residence's first super building. The warehouse resources are ready, and everyone watches me with burning eyes. I do not hesitate and choose to build. The stone, iron, and wood in the warehouse become 3 torrents drawn by invisible force to the tunnel's center, and the ancient rune stele turns to a golden stream and merges in. Light bursts, and when it fades, a 5-meter stone sculpture stands in the center, exuding iron and might. a muscular man holding a giant axe, his muscle lines packed with explosive power, the same complex patterns from the stele carved across him. A chilling aura rolling off. A notification sounds in every Guardian member's mind that the statue of the War God has been completed, and that we have received the permanent buff War God's blessing. All attributes +2, and all attack damage up 10%. A warm current spreads through everybody at once. Lee Daewoo waves his fists, swearing he feels like he could punch a cow to death. Cheon Dodo's face flushes as he calls the attributes overpowered, and Lee Wee Wee bounces up and down cheering that Guardian is invincible. But just as the joy peaks, a system announcement echoing across the entire B2 zone cuts through and drowns out the cheering. The announcement names player B21444 using an item. Area loudspeaker. Brother Doo's voice rolls out over the whole zone, cursing me as a scrap-collecting piece of trash, swearing that since I dared kill his men, he will personally twist off my dog head, and then announcing that the Bloodblade Alliance is now buying minecarts at high prices, as many as anyone has, that anyone with a cart can join the guild regardless of how trash their talent is. Spots limited. Hurry if you want to live. 2 roars, and the largest guild in the zone has openly declared war on the man ranked first on the activity points leaderboard. Lee Wee Wee flushes with anger, clenching her small fists at the villain who dared curse God Mo. Lee Daewoo cracks his massive knuckles and asks Lo whether he should find a chance to take the man out. Jo Yu's gaze turns cold as he says that 144 is openly declaring war. Cheon Dodo swipes through the channel info and says that, Mad Dog tantrum aside, the move is vicious because it pressures the entire zone and forces every card-owning player to pick a side. Join them or become their enemy. Yang Soryong, freshly joined, pales since he knows the Bloodblade Alliance's style firsthand, and it drags him straight back to the despair he felt not long ago. The long quiet zone channel detonates. Players ask what is going on, whether the man took out Bloodblade's people, and many cheer, saying those scumbags must have gone marauding and hit a steel plate, that they deserve it, while others warn each other to keep quiet for fear of being targeted, and a few brag they have so many people the Alliance could never find their tunnels. Underneath the anxiety, most ordinary players feel real pressure at the thought of an Alliance hoarding carts. Then, amid the chaos, a different kind of message slides quietly through the scroll. Player B27878 writes that order must exist in troubled times, that today the Cloud Pavilion Guild offers protection and peace, that all capable people regardless of background or talent may join, and that the interested should private message a screenshot of their attributes. No emotion in it, yet every word lands with weight, a sharp contrast to Brother Doe's screaming. The channel erupts harder than before, asking where Cloud Pavilion came from. Who B27878 is whether a force finally dares stand against the Bloodblade Alliance, and warning each other in case it is just another Bloodblade in disguise. Inside the residence, I watch the shifting channel calmly. Cheon Dodo says things are lively now, a mad dog in the open and an unknown new pavilion appearing, and everyone's eyes turn to me. I close the channel, let my gaze settle on the War God statue, and say slowly that if Brother Doe wants war, then there will be war. Minecarts are a mobile disaster, and the more of them the Bloodblade Alliance holds, the faster they grow, like a snowball, and once their power fully swells, they will be hard to handle. Strike first. Cut the threat at the root. That is the consensus. I asked Cheon Dodo whether we still have the positioning beacon, and he says no. It was the only one, and it is spent. That the thing is rarer than blue equipment, and has never appeared on the trading platform. I order him to the trading house and the channels to buy them at high price now, and tell everyone else to watch too, because we must take the initiative. Just then, an unfamiliar private message request pops up from the Cloud Pavilion leader who just stirred the zone, B27878. I accept. The message asks whether I am interested in a deal. My eyes flicker and I reply, tell me about it. The answer comes fast, as if waiting, saying I have surely seen the Bloodblade Alliance's style, a swarm of locusts that only destroys and plunders, that if this continues the whole zone becomes their hunting ground and none of us know peace, and proposing we cooperate to behead 144 and end it. I raise an eyebrow and ask whether they can find him. They say they have 2 minecarts and 2 positioning beacons that can pinpoint a person's tunnel, that they have planted people inside the Bloodblade Alliance, and that intelligence shows the core is 2A ranked talents, the leader Brother Do and number 1888 called Marauders. Their plan is to provide the carts and beacons. Both sides send 2A rank fighters to lead simultaneous decapitation strikes against those 2, and whoever defeats a target keeps that loot. What a grand gesture. This Cloud Pavilion is not simple. My fingertips tap lightly, but I do not agree at once. I tell them their intelligence personnel are not very professional, and the other end clearly stalls, asking what I mean, whether their intelligence is wrong. I think a moment and reply that their intelligence is not wrong. They just missed one person, number 7523, talent biochemical soldier, A rank, whose attacks are poisonous and who releases toxic fog. The other party goes silent a full half-minute. Gangja was a minor leader who knew far more core intelligence than ordinary members, which is my advantage. They come back saying that I have impressive methods, that it seems I also have people inside the alliance. I do not take the bait, only ask whether they still have a plan. They admit a biochemical soldier's poison is troublesome, that they cannot split into 3 routes, because once fighting starts he will support 1444 and corner their people. I reply that Brother Du and the biochemical soldier are mine, that beyond my spoils I want 1 extra piece of blue equipment or a blueprint as compensation. They say it is not distrust, but that handling 2 A-rank combat talents at once is hard to believe, and propose I temporarily join their guild for a friendly spar at their residence, since same guild players cannot inflict fatal damage. The true intention surfaces. They want to test my depth. I close the chat and look at everyone, telling them I will be back soon, and hand the guildmaster role to Cheon Dodo for now while I go meet this cloud pavilion. Then I vanish from the spot, taking the silent Liana and the support cat Sowa, who dozes while hugging her own tail. Cheon Dodo watches my retreating figure, opens his mouth, then swallows his words, because he knows his boss's decisions are never to be questioned. Light and shadow distort and reform, and when my vision clears I stand inside a completely different guild base. Unlike my own slightly messy place, this one is orderly, even spotless. The ground deliberately leveled, the excavation marks on the walls showing planned uniformity. Over a dozen players line both sides, their gear varied in quality but their posture straight, their gazes sharp, scrutiny and vigilance aimed at me and my 2 followers. An invisible pressure hangs in the air, less a survivor's refuge than a disciplined camp. 2 women stand at the front. The one leading them is tall and straight, with sharp short hair and eyes calm as water, wearing fine leather armor, the Cloud Pavilion leader Li Na, who holds the A-rank talent fighting master. Li Na speaks first, her voice cold and crisp. No wasted words, introducing herself as 7878, name Li Na, a combat-type talent, and the woman beside her as her partner Im Anan, a control and healing talent, both of them former police officers. Im Anan nods at me, quieter and frameless glasses with an intellectual air, though the hand holding a strange syringe is exceptionally steady. I answer just as concisely with my name, my gaze sweeping everyone without hesitation, and point to Liana and Sowa beside me, my followers. Liana keeps the elf's usual elegance and wariness, hand resting on the crossbow at her waist. Sowa, however, ignores the tension entirely, squatting to wash her face with her tiny paws, fluffy tail flicking, wildly out of step with the solemnity around her. A cat? Surprise flashes through Li Na's eyes. Ordinary followers are not rare, and a few Cloud Pavilion members keep them, but mostly humans or demi-humans, and this is the first time she has seemingly harmless pet cat brought along as combat power. Her members whisper, eyes full of curiosity at Sowa, a couple of the women showing open affection. Li Na withdraws her gaze and regains composure, saying it seems the Great One has more hidden cards than they imagined. She looks directly at me and gets to the point. That trust is the foundation of cooperation, that in life and death actions they need a clear measure of an ally's strength, that verbal promises are worthless here. I nod and ask how she wants to confirm it. A faint curve finally reaches her mouth. Simple, she says. We fight. 3 of theirs against 3 of mine. Stop before anyone is seriously hurt. See each other's strength. The Cloud Pavilion members step back, clearing a wide space, anticipation and belligerence on their faces, long curious about the mysterious power who dominates the leaderboard. I agree at once, having expected this, because in this precarious world, strength is the only currency. Liana lowers her voice to warn me that Li Na is not simple, and I tell her I know, because in my perception, the energy within Li Na is condensed and heavy. Li Na waves, and Im Anan steps to her left while a man as huge as an iron tower walks out, over 2 meters tall. His skin is strange rocky gray, the ground trembling with each step. No weapons in his hands, only 2 heavy arm shields on his forearms. Li Na introduces him as her follower Jang San, defense specialization, and he nods gruffly, his gaze resolute as a mountain. Her members grin in confidence, boasting that with Brother San the match is secured. That last instance a green elite charging boar knocked itself out cold against his shield, while he did not budge. That the elf may look strong, but breaking his defense is impossible. My side walks in too. Liana stands with her crossbow, her gaze sharp as an eagle. Sowa yawns, stretches, then saunters to my feet and pulls out a small hunting horn, cradling it. The scene comical no matter how you look at it. Li Na asks whether I am ready. I nod, and she calls the start. The instant her voice falls, the battle erupts. Li Na shooting out like a drawn bow at astonishing speed straight at me. the core of the lineup, her fighting master talent feeding her both attack and terrifying physical bonuses. Anon retreats and throws 3 capsules in a triangle toward me and my 2 followers. Preemptive crowd control, while Jang San crosses his arms and clangs his shield shut, advancing like a mobile fortress, blocking movement and guarding Anon in the rear. Perfect coordination. But they are facing me. Just as Li Na closes and the capsules are about to land, my figure vanishes. Shadow strike. Leaving a trail of afterimage, I bypass her charge and appear at the rear of their team, right in front of the seemingly safest core, Imanen. Alarm bells ring in Li Na's heart and she forces her body to twist, already a beat too slow. Imanen never expected me as a target and almost subconsciously raises the big syringe to block her front. But she is not my target at all. Weakness perception. In my vision, an inconspicuous spot on the back of the massive shield guard's neck lights scarlet. An Oni activates, my aura snapping over as violent killing intent erupts from me. I push off the ground and soar like a low-flying falcon past the startled Anon, the wolf-fang twin blades carving 2 chilling arcs straight for the back of Jang San's neck. Li Na shouts a warning to Brother San. He reacts fast, sensing the threat and spinning to block with his arm shields, but he is too slow because my agility, under the hunter set and the vampire ring, has long crossed a terrifying threshold. The twin blades pierce the red spot with perfect accuracy, an armor break for -95, a critical for -102, astonishing numbers floating above his head. He lets out a muffled roar of pain, his proud rock-like skin as fragile as tofu before my blades, the impact making him stumble nearly to his knees. The whole venue erupts. How is that possible, they cry. He broke the defense in 1 hit, and dealt damage that high. The confidence on their faces freezing solid. The other 2 battlegrounds have already engaged. Liana ignored everyone else from the start, her crossbow locked on the fastest target, Li Na. 3 moonlit bolts flying in a triangle to seal off every evasion route. Li Na's pupils contract, and she leans back at an impossible angle and shifts her footwork to dodge 2, the last grazing her arm for a string of blood beads, -23. So precise. A chill runs through her as she senses that every arrow anticipates her movement, leaving all her close combat skill useless. Unable to get within 5 meters of her opponent, and the feeling of being suppressed by ranged fire to the point of suffocation infuriates her. On the other side, Imanon's 3 anesthetic capsules finally land and burst, 3 clouds of pale yellow smoke spreading, an anesthetic fog that paralyzes anyone who inhales it for 1 second. But just as the smoke nears Sowa's feet, a crisp, pleasant, slightly off-key flute sound rings out, the dispelling flute. An invisible sonic ripple spreads from Sowa, and wherever it passes, the 3 smoke clouds vanish without a trace, as if meeting their nemesis. Imanon stands stunned, watching her prize control skill casually neutralized by a cat playing a flute, for a moment doubting reality. Refusing to believe it, she hurls more capsules, and Sowa, seemingly addicted to playing now, blows even more cheerfully, smoke rising. The flute sounding, the smoke dispersing, again and again, until Imanon's face goes livid, feeling less like an A-rank controller than someone playing with a cat. In a dozen seconds, the tide is fully turned. Jang San is stuck to me, unable to fight back as his health drops. Li Na is suppressed by Liana and finds every step difficult, and Imanon's control is wholly countered by a single cat. Li Na takes a deep breath, steps back, and calls a halt to the one-sided spar. She glances at Jang San, health nearly empty, then at Imanon still questioning reality, then fixes a complex gaze on me. The whole tunnel is silent. The members' eyes on me have changed completely, from vigilance to shock to reverence. We lost, Li Na admits frankly, walking up to me with no further probing, only solemnity, saying my strength exceeded her expectations, and apologizing for the test, then adding, sincere, that now we can discuss the details of our cooperation. Li Na breaks the silence, saying the previous conditions stand, that their original plan had Cloud Pavilion attacking 1444 while I dealt with 1888, but the situation has changed and she will follow my arrangements. Her gaze drops to the feline at my feet, the harmless-looking thing that perfectly countered her A-rank controller partner, and she realizes the newly reported biochemical soldier is an extreme threat once his poison spreads. Though this little cat should counter it. I tell her plainly that the biochemical soldier will go support 1444 and that both of them are my responsibility. She asks whether I need support, offering 2 more people. No need, I answer flat. Just prepare the cart and the beacon. We act tonight since I need a few skills to finish cooling down. Then I ask about the agreed reward. Li Na relaxes, appreciating the practicality, and winks at Imanon, who's still brooding over being countered by a cat, takes an item from her backpack. It is a huge dark silver syringe, unsettling green liquid sloshing in the barrel. The Goblin's strange syringe, blue excellent, attack 35 to 45, requiring a support class or talent, with a paralysis effect at 10% to lock a biological target 1 second, and an attached skill, lethal dose injection, that on hit forces 5 seconds of paralysis that cannot be dispelled. 1 hour cooldown. The description calls it a product of the Goblin Caves, the handy tool of the Goblin Doctor, who treats patients but is even better at creating them. My eyelid twitches. What a piece of work. If Anon had landed that move in the spar, the outcome would truly have been uncertain. Li Na explains it dropped from a guild instance clear. 2 in total. The Anon used 1 and they had no second support talent for the other, but now my attendant should be able to use it, and she hopes it helps tonight. I take the syringe and hand it to Soa at my feet. The cat's eyes light up, and she grabs the thing in both paws, rubbing it lovingly before looking up and sweetly thanking Li Na and calling out to her boss, which shatters the composure of the few stern-faced women in Cloud Pavilion and eases the tension considerably. I take the chance to ask about that guild instance. She does not hide it, saying that while mining there is a small chance of digging up a special instance entrance that teams of up to 10 can enter. I nod, filing it away. After adding them as friends, I return with Liana and Sowa to the Guardian base. Li Daewoo and Zhou Yu crowd in, Li Daewoo booming whether Cloud Pavilion tried any tricks. It is fine, I tell them. We negotiated a cooperation, and I briefly described the beheading plan for the evening. Li Daewoo volunteers at once, swearing he has wanted to twist Brother Du's head off for ages, and Zhou Yu's eyes turn cold as he offers to help from the shadows. I shake my head. Not this time, I tell them. Cloud Pavilion handles the other target, and I already have support. The mission is dangerous, so they stay and guard the base and wait for my news. I decline their requests and return to my mine tunnel. It is not that I distrust them, but the enemies this time carry extremely high combat power, and my current team is already enough. Me, Liana, the 2 hidden Feilane. Oh, and Chef Dehe. Thinking of the bald cook with his big ladle and hearty smile, I feel much more settled. Never mind 2A ranks. Even another one and Chef Dehe alone could probably handle them all, with the small fry left to Liana and Charlie. After reassuring everyone, I open my panel, since I have not used my 10 daily recycle chances yet, though the scraps Li Daewoo traded me this morning are ordinary goods, worth a few green chests at most. I browse the exchange platform a while without finding any technological creation worth acquiring. Then a private message from Yang Soryang pops up, asking, a little uncertain, whether I am collecting special technological products or unidentifiable items, since he heard it from Li Daewoo and Li Weiwei. Yes, I reply. Did you find something? He says he dug a very strange metal fragment out of a wall and cannot tell what it is, and sends an item description. Weapon remains of an unknown civilization. The remains of a high-tech ion beam weapon. Strange because complex magic runes are inscribed on it, seemingly a creation that fuses science and magic. My breath hitches. A fusion of science and magic. I agree to the trade at once and send over a green-quality longsword I seized earlier, and Yang Soryang, overwhelmed by the favor, thanks me. I do not reply, my whole focus fixed on the palm-sized remains shimmering with pale blue electric arcs and golden runic light. Then the red cartoon phone phantom, Spinner, appears on its own without warning, not grinning cheekily as usual, but spinning rapidly around the remains like an appraiser who has found a priceless treasure. This thing, it says, its voice carrying unbelievable excitement, is very unique, its research value extremely high, and it gives Spinner a very familiar feeling, and it asks whether it should recycle it immediately. A familiar feeling. My heart leaps. Could these remains be connected to Spinner's own origin? Recycle, I decide without hesitation. The assessment comes back extremely high value, extremely high technology and special energy, integrity extremely fragmented, and then a line I have never seen, that the item contains a super standard law interweaving characteristic, meeting the highest standard for selective recycle. Spinner's voice trembles as it presents the options. Option A is a standard issue rifle of purple quality plus 2 purple chests. Option B is a single orange chest. A purple thermal weapon could change any battle in an age of cold weapons, except I probably have no blueprint for making bullets, which would leave me holding a very fancy poker. My gaze lands on option B, an orange chest, the highest quality I have ever seen. Risk and reward run in proportion, so I choose B. Light flashes, and a heavy chest glowing with a warm orange aura materializes like a small sun, bathing the tunnel in warm color, even making Chef Dehe pause his cleaning with surprise. I press the clasp and open it, and a dazzling light shoots up brighter than any previous chest. 7 items at the bottom as it fades. A 5-piece set of heavy armor gleaming with metal and leather, a long blade, and an ancient gold-edged card. The armor is a warrior heavy armor set. Blue excellent. Full set defense plus 80, constitution plus 10, agility minus 5. With a 2-piece strength plus 10 and a 3-piece set skill, Heart of Adversity, a passive where my fighting spirit rises with my injuries, each hit granting an adversity stack that raises attack and defense 5% up to 5 stacks, lasting 30 seconds and refreshing on every hit. I carry the armor to Chef Dehe and offer it, but he waves it off with a smile, patting his grease-stained chef's robe, explaining it evolved alongside him and his blue quality now too, no weaker, and that wielding a ladle he prioritizes free movement that a metal shell would ruin. He has a point, so I put the armor away. My gaze falls to the card, a special talent summon card, the same kind that brought me Chef Dehe, and knowing how strong such a summon is, I do not hesitate and use it. The purple card scatters into specks of light that gather on the ground into a massive complex summoning array, golden runes flowing along its edges, an aura of desolation and iron-blooded severity rolling out from the center. Chef Dehe is pushed back half a step by it, and even Liana's face goes solemn, as she smells mountains of corpses and seas of blood from the array. The light intensifies, and a tall, robust figure takes shape in the center, in tattered but ferocious black heavy armor, scarred with blade and axe marks, dark red bloodstains long since soaked into the metal seams. He holds no weapon, but simply standing there, an aura of fierce valor surges out, a man who has survived countless battles, like a tiger ready to devour someone. His face is not handsome, even fierce, a hideous scar running from brow to bridge of nose, his eyes unruly and full of aggression. He kneels on one knee and greets me as his lord, his voice hoarse and deep as two pieces of iron grinding together. The panel names him Wei Yan, a human heroic spirit, profession Berserker, level 1, loyalty 70, a man who respects the strong but questions authority. His skills floor me. Rebellious Bone, a maxed passive, raises all attributes 50% when he is desperate or outnumbered, and puts him in a Berserk state immune to most control. Though below loyalty 60 he may disobey. Berserk Blade Technique, passive, makes him a born master of bladed weapons, adding 30% attack and a chance to cause bleeding. The strategy of Ziwu Valley, active, designates a target and teleports a team of up to 5 beside it, for a 1-hour raid with attack up 30% and defense up 10%, 72-hour cooldown. And Body of 100 Battles, passive, reduces all physical damage he takes by 35%. Wei Yan. It is actually him. A massive wave surges in me, because these skills make him a killing machine born for war. I tell him to rise quickly, my voice calm though my heart races, and he stands, gaze sharp as a knife, asking why his lord summoned him, his eyes sweeping Liana and Chef Dehe before settling on me with scrutiny. An unruly general who submits only to true powerhouses. Meeting his gaze, I draw the last item from the chest. A narrow-bodied black blade radiating an ominous aura. A replica Zampacto. Purple Epic. Attack 40 to 50, requiring strength 40, with the Soul Eater effect that on a kill may devour soul fragments to permanently raise the weapon's attack by 1 up to 100. A demonic blade whose base attack is low, but which grows with its master. I hand Wei Yan the blade and the armor directly. The moment he grips the hilt, a black demonic aura surges from the blade and engulfs him. But he simply snorts, his iron-blooded killing intent erupting to forcibly suppress it, and praises it as a fine blade, his gaze toward me finally holding a hint of approval. Tonight, I tell him, my voice low but clearly audible to everyone present, we kill. Night in the Mind Cave world is only a concept. When the timer reaches the appointed hour, the whole world falls into an eerie silence, awaiting a storm. In my private channel, Li Na's message arrives right on time, saying there should be no monsters today, get ready, they depart in 1 minute. I confirm and close the window, then tell Charlie to guard the home and keep the clumsy pickaxe goblin from wrecking the planting boxes, and turn to the assembled group. I call Wei Yan, my voice soft, and he steps forward, iron armor clashing dully, fighting spirit burning in his untamed eyes, announcing that this general is here. Target, B21444. My tone is calm, as if discussing something trivial. Strategy of Ziwu Valley, activate. He grins a mouthful of white teeth, full of arrogant confidence, and obeys his lord's command. He plunges the replica Zanpakto into the ground and mutters incantations. An invisible ripple spreads, and an array far more complex than a summoning circle takes shape. Golden lines outlining phantom mountains and rivers. An aura of iron-blooded slaughter surging skyward. Select target, B2144's Mind Tunnel. Select accompanying personnel, me, Chef Dehe, Liana, Soa. Raid commence. Wei Yan lets out a low roar. The array bursts into brilliant light and engulfs the 5 of us. Space tears apart, and the next second, when solid ground returns underfoot, a blast of foul air thick with blood, sweat, and rust fills my nostrils. We have arrived at Mind Tunnel, B21444. Brother Du is wiping down his blue-quality blazing long saber. Without warning, the space near the tunnel's edge ripples like water, the golden array unfolding from nothing, 5 figures emerging in its light. His pupils shrink to pinpricks. Where is the minecart? Where are the system warnings? How the hell did they get in? His reaction is fast, a roar echoing through the tunnel as he orders the arrow towers to attack. And almost the instant he shouts, 4 automatic rapid-fire arrow towers in the center swivel onto the intruders. Cold arrowheads gleaming, and arrows rain down covering everything. Wei Yan snorts that they are mere specks of light, and instead of retreating he advances into the arrow rain to shield us, not even raising his weapon, just standing with his chest thrust out. The damage rolls up, -3, -3, then Heart of Adversity triggers and the numbers shrink, -2, -2, another stack, until the arrows only bleed a steady stream of -1 force damage, though the impact still pushes him back a meter. Even that does not budge his health amid Sowa's off-key healing flute, the cat puffing its cheeks and tapping its feet as if this were not a battlefield but its own recital. Bathed in arrows and healing, feeling his power rise, Wei Yan laughs heartily, demanding they bring more, asking whether they mean to give this general a massage. The scene stuns Brother Du and the 3 followers who rushed out. What kind of monster tanks 4 arrow towers with his bare body and acts like nothing happened? A follower asks tremblingly what to do, and Brother Du, ashen but forcing calm, shouts into the guild channel for second and third brother to bring their people. They are being raided. But second brother Marauders replies that he too has just been attacked by the women of Cloud Pavilion. Brother Du instantly grasps the enemy's strategy, a chill rushing through him, and gives his final command. Forget second brother. Third brother, bring 4 people, and meet him here. Teleport light flashes, and led by Brother Ryong, the biochemical soldier, 5 players and 3 followers join Brother Du. 9 people plus 4 arrow towers still firing. On my side, 4 people and 1 cat. The numerical edge restores a little of Brother Du's confidence, and he points his saber at me, sneering that I bypass the path to heaven and barge through the gates of hell. That today he will show me what it means to bully the few with the many. Beside him, Brother Ryong is already moving, pulling glass jars from his backpack, chuckling as faint green poison mist begins to emanate, asking whether we are ready to enjoy a gas sauna. I do not even bother looking at him. My gaze falls on Liana, and she understands at once, retrieving a dusty, unassuming spherical object from her waist pouch, a secret weapon made from paralyzing spores collected in the Gloom Cave, a spore grenade. She raises her arm and the grenade arcs in a precise parabola into the center of the 9-person formation. Brother Du and the others have no time to react before it bursts, an intensely thick cloud of gray smoke swallowing all 9 of them, paralyzing spores forcing them into 5 seconds of locked paralysis, their sneers frozen in place in various comical poses. Now, I call softly, take out the arrow towers first, since their knockback severely restricts movement. My figure vanishes. Shadow strike my target 1 tower. Chef Dehe follows close, his stainless steel ladle gleaming, swinging with heavy momentum, while Liana fires several bolts into a tower's energy core. And under the 3 of us, the first tower explodes into parts. On the other side is true violent aesthetics. Wei Yan roars, Heart of Adversity long since stacked to 5, Rebellious Bone triggered, and with the Ziwu Valley raid bonus, his attributes soar to a terrifying level. He becomes a black afterimage, ignoring the other 3 towers and charging with a brutally unreasonable posture, smashing the first to pieces with his shoulder alone, cleaving the second in half base and all with a single swing, and gripping the third in both hands to yank it out like a radish, and slam it down into scrap. In 3 seconds, 3 towers annihilated. When the 5 seconds end and Brother Du and the others regain movement, they are greeted by a sight that chills them to the bone. The 4 defensive structures they were so proud of, now scattered wreckage. The heavily armored man who looks like a demon god turns slowly, shouldering the ominous saber, his untamed eyes locked on them, and behind him I hold twin blades. Chef Dehe grips his ladle, Liana raises her crossbow, and a cat clutches a giant syringe longer than itself. The whole tunnel falls deathly silent, the muscles on Brother Do's face twitching uncontrollably. What the hell is this thing? A sharp-eyed subordinate points at me, voice trembling, telling Brother Du that I am 9527, that the screenshot Fatty sent before he died showed an unclear face but this exact leather armor. Brother Du's eye twitches violently. 9527, the guy who stirred up the channels on his hit list. He suppresses the shock, forces a breath, and yells with feigned ferocity that I dared cooperate with the Cloud Pavilion women, that I should not think I have won just for tearing down a few broken towers, then waves a hand and orders his confidants, since they all have combat talents. Why fear us? Third brother, release the poison, Sanzi. Use crowd control. The remaining fighting spirit of the Bloodblade Alliance ignites. Brother Ryong smashes a dark green bottle on the ground. A thick yellow-green poison mist spreading toward us like a living thing, the ground sizzling with corrosion, while a tall, thin young man named Sanzi slams his hands down and shouts green vine entanglement, more than a dozen thick vines bursting from the ground like snakes toward the ankles of me. Wei Yan, and Liana. But just as the mist nears and the vines reach, a clear, slightly off-key flute sound drifts out. Sowa, cheeks puffed, sends a sound wave rippling out, and the poison mist dissipates on contact like snow under the sun. Brother Ryong's smile freezes. Wei Yan, facing the vines, does not even draw his sword, just snorts and stomps hard, a wave of air cracking the rock floor and snapping the tough vines into dust, before his brutal force. Just as the Bloodblade members stand stunned at how easily their moves are countered, the fat cook wiping his ladle at the back walks out with a chuckle. "Do they call this poison?" Chef Dehe asks, kids playing house, and says he will open their eyes to what real poison is. His uniform billows without wind, turning black, an eerie aura rising as he conjures a pot from the void, inside it a strange, colorful, ominous-smelling dish. Fatal mixed salad. He invites them to have a taste, and swings his arm, the whole pot arcing as a stream of light into the center of the Bloodblade crowd. Brother Du's crisis warning makes his scalp tingle, and he roars as Flameblade aura erupts to armor him, while Brother Ryong, with his high poison resistance, quickly covers his mouth and nose. But the others are not so lucky. The strange soup lands silently, then bursts into a sweet, cloying green mist, and aside from Brother Du and Brother Ryong, the 4 remaining players and 3 subordinates scream after one breath and collapse softly, as if their bones were removed, the 4 players dissolving into white light in under 6 seconds. 4 backpacks dropping. Liana reacts instantly, 3 moonlit bolts striking the 3 furthest subordinates in the throat before they can react. In an instant, the once aggressive Bloodblade alliance is reduced to Brother Du and Brother Ryong alone. Brother Du's eyes go bloodshot at the mess, all thought of resistance gone, and he curses, turns, and runs at astonishing speed toward a building deep in the tunnel. Abandoning his most capable subordinate, Brother Ryong, left alone facing us as we slowly approach, drains of all color, falling to his knees with a thump, tears and snot streaming, begging us not to kill him, swearing he will give us everything, spare his life. His answer is Wei Yan's icy gaze and drawn blade, and the words that the weak are not qualified to beg for mercy. A flash of blade light, and a head flies into the air, a huge damage number, minus 488 critical, floating up from the headless corpse. We ignore the spoils and walk after Brother Du. Within my perception, I clearly see him and another faint aura hiding behind a crude house. Suddenly, that faint aura is shoved out by a huge force into Wei Yan at the front, a haggard, shabbily dressed, elderly subordinate, and Wei Yan, too late, is struck and his momentum halts. Now, Brother Du flashes out engulfed in blazing flames, blade raised in both hands, and roars flame blade wave chi at me, exposed on the side because I could not dodge. A 5-meter crescent of scorching red blade aura tears through the air toward my head with unstoppable momentum. Chef Dehe has just spent his ultimate. Liana is a squishy archer. Sowa pure support. There is no avoiding this strike. Just as the blade aura is a hair's breadth from my head, shadow strike. My figure vanishes from the spot and the next second appears behind Brother Du like a ghost. His pupils contract sharply at the speed, but he no longer has a chance. Weakness perception. Oni, in my vision a red fatal spot blooms on his back, a faint blood-red light igniting on my twin blades, every skill seamlessly connecting at once. Minus 45 with an armor pierce and weakness. Minus 29. Minus 21. A dense cascade of damage rolling over his head like a waterfall, as his proud blade aura armor crumbles and disintegrates before my wolf-fanged twin blades in Oni state. He turns stiffly, the flames in his eyes guttering out into endless resentment, trying to say something, but only a hoarse rasp comes from his throat as his health zeroes and he crashes to the floor. Only then does his flameblade aura fly off into the distance, striking the rock wall and leaving a deep charred mark. I exhale a turbid breath and dispel Oni. Wei Yan, the crisis resolved, shows no joy, only shame and anger, kneeling on one knee and saying heavily that this general failed in his duty to protect and nearly put his lord in danger, begging to be punished. Then he stands abruptly, gripping his blade, and turns toward the elderly subordinate slumped on the ground, murderous intent in his eyes, declaring he will execute the man now. Stop, I say, not loud, but carrying undeniable authority. His movement pauses, and he looks at me puzzled, but puts the blade away and steps aside. I walk to the trembling old man, my gaze calm, and ask whether he is 144 subordinate, and what his name is. The old man trembles all over, lifts a face full of wrinkles and fear, and rasps that his name is Yugui, that he is just an ordinary person who was summoned, his voice tearful as he says the demon never let him eat a full meal since summoning him, beat and scolded him every day, and just now even pushed him out to die. I watch him silently. On the panel, Yugui's attributes are pitifully low. Just the most ordinary laborer, no combat skill, his status reading unowned, can be transformed into a summon card form. The contract dissolved automatically when Brother Du died. My heart stirs, and I ask whether, if I give him a chance to go somewhere he can eat his fill and never be beaten, he would be willing. Old Yu's head snaps up, an incredible light bursting from his cloudy eyes, and he nods desperately, unable to speak.